Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. If you're watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of the Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench, which is right below in memory of our friends. Now, if you're not a member or if you're not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. If you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunthangar will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in, but just enjoy watching us on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. Please enter your questions or comments in the chat box over here, and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. And I understand sometimes I can't get a word in myself, so be patient, and I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comments. And by the way, you only can do this during a live stream. So like I said, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, if you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host or the many building videos, Saturday at John videos, the contest coverage that Sparky does on his platform, informative and enjoyable, please hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, and consider subscribing. And when you subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification bell and select all so that whether myself or Sparky comes on, you'll be notified. Share the videos, comments on the videos. All these help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel membership right below that blue button. And the YouTube channel membership start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. I mean, it's the equivalent of buying one of those coffees at Starbucks. Just once a month is all we ask. And by the way, I'm also a member. I have the $4.99 come out of my own checking account. So I'm not asking you to do something that I'm not doing myself. And as I'm trying to support the hobby, I'm just inviting everybody else who loves this hobby as much as I do to participate in supporting it. Plus, with your Stunthangar YouTube channel memberships, you'll get special icons and badges that Spark and I can see in the chat box. Also, you have access to unlimited access to member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. Now, this is Sparky's YouTube channel. This is not mine. Okay, so if you want to get in touch with me, go to my YouTube channel at Flying Control Line Stunt. Let me repeat that. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. All the letters are there. And if you go to that YouTube channel and locate the 2019 AMA National Championship video, you can see me flying Sparky's Junar XL. This is at the 2019 AMA National Championship. I actually got the chance to fly Sparky's plane, which at that time it was orange. It's been refinished. It's more of a white color now, but yeah, check it out. And you see me talking about flying, you actually can see me fly. And if you go to my YouTube channel and leave a comment or a question, see, I'll be notified. I don't check Sparky's comments and questions outside of the chat box. and I don't get notification of when there's a question. So if you go to my YouTube channel, I'll be prompted to respond, and I try to respond to all the inquiries and questions on my YouTube channel. Now, I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversations family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your children or grandchildren. And without any further ado, I'm going to now post a link at the Stunthangar forum. And I still haven't fixed my video. I apologize for this inconvenience. I don't know if it's my video graph on my computer or if it's my internet. But anyway, I just posted the link to the to this meeting so you can get in here. This is how you get in, is through the link that's posted in Stunthangar forum. And now I'm going to go to the what I call the control panel. This is kind of how I can see how it's streaming. I can see a lot of things there. I'm heading there right now. Today is Monday. Hopefully you all had a good weekend and had a chance to get some work done on your model airplanes, or go out and fly. And hopefully you can tell us all about it this evening. So let me get in here, and I can see my video looks pretty bad. I don't know what is going on. I can change my camera, but my other camera is inferior to this camera in some respects anyways. Let me see here. Just give me a moment here. Yeah, I can see on the delay, it definitely looks bad in some regard. So I don't know what's going on. I see that Keith Trostle's making his way in here. And hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Are we alone?
We are alone, and we are live. But we're not really totally alone, because we have 18 viewers right now and 11 likes. Matter of fact, in the chat box, first up is Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He says, yo. Anyway, thank you, Daniel, for coming in again. Appreciate it. And Jack Snavely says, hello all in the hangar or shop, like is in here, and I'm listening to you. Very good. And he has some airplane stickers. And Jack Snavely has that moniker next to his name that I know that he is a supporting patron of our channel. I appreciate you very much, Jack. Thank you for your financial support as well as you actually coming in too. And then Jeff Riley. I got so excited. I said, Jeff Riley had to say hello tonight and click the like button. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then Dennis Adamison, Dennis is also a supporting patron. He says, like delivered. And I'm all caught up on the chat box. And let me welcome, I don't know who came in next, but let me welcome John Miller. Thank you, Joan. Thank you for coming in. And I see Caffeine. How you doing, Caffeine?
I'm doing good.
Caffeine, that's great. Well, anybody spending time in their shop or went flying since last time we was together?
Working on the big job.
It was go ahead.
Go ahead, Keith. You working on your
The
big job?
Big job has all the blocking code on it. It'll start masking tonight. Hopefully get first bit of white on it. We'll see what happens tonight.
What color is your blocking code?
Gray, polar gray.
Okay. Very, very cool.
I see it?
Yeah, I do. You want to wait till some more people come in?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll bring it in.
Yeah, because I know your work is so extraordinary. We want to show the world. Looks like Gary Sinclair is making his way in here. And John, go ahead and say what you was going to say, John. What was you going to say?
I was going to say it got up to 61 degrees here today.
Oh, very good. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, snow's starting to melt. And
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my CAD program.
Oh,
no. I just you know, I have to reinstall it on a yearly basis because I pay for it at a year at a time. And I got a newer version of it, and I think they've got some bugs in it because there's certain things I just can't do. I can't copy and move anything. I can't move anything. I can't, so I've got to get hold of support and talk to them. Otherwise, I'm going to reload back in the old one.
Right. Yeah. You can't move things around. I mean, it doesn't do you much good.
Oh yeah, and not being able to copy and move things. I can't make up my pattern sheet. Nothing. It's got me dead in the water.
That's got to be frustrating.
Well, it is. It is. I rebooted, reloaded, did everything I could the last couple of days, and no change. So it's got to be in the new program. Something is not right.
Something's not right. Let me welcome Gary Sinclair. Hey, Gary, thanks for coming in, Gary.
Okay, just getting you.
Thank you,
Thumbs up.
Gary. I see you just gave me a like. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Gary's also one of our supporting patrons. He's a member of our YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Gary. And I see Jim Hoffman's here. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Jim.
Oh, good. Doing good. And I see Mark Wise is here. Hey, Mark, how you doing, man? All right.
Hi, guys.
And Mark Gerber is making his way. Now, actually, Mark is here, but he's just being very shy right now. He doesn't want to show us anything. He's has his camera off. Mark, you know your camera is off, or is that, and so is your microphone. And that's okay. I appreciate you coming in. So, anyways, I was hoping to hear back from you, Jim, regarding how did the Southwestern Regionals go? I know that Keith had told me some stuff about it and some others too, but look forward to hearing from you.
Sure. I could do that. You want me to do it now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a 2-day contest, the traditional stunt format. Flew old time and classic on Saturday. And actually, we all showed up on Friday, hung out and practiced, and then flew the Pampa classes on Sunday. So about 5 or 6 of us flew in old time, 2 rounds. Well, we had nice weather. Both days were very nice weather.
Oh, that's great.
So that was really nice. So on Saturday we flew old time. I think Callentine and John Callentine was the CD. I think he and Warren were the old time judges. And then in classic, well, it was almost Lou Woolgast I judged, but then Dave Fitzgerald and Brett Buck showed up.
Nice.
They judged classic. And then on Sunday, there were no beginner intermediates. There were, I think, 3 advanced flyers. And so they just lumped them all in with the experts. And we flew 2 rounds. And the judges were Lou Woolgast and Warren T-Hart. And I think I have pictures of the scoreboards if you want me to.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think I fixed it to share. Yeah, that'd be great.
Right, just give me a moment to
no problem.
pull them up.
And let me just I guess I already welcomed you, Mark, but you're welcome again for coming in. Thank you very much.
There we go. I couldn't get my video or my audio to work.
Oh,
now I'm on.
Hey, welcome, Mark. You got your video working and your audio. That's great. Thank you very much.
Hey, cuz.
Was that directed toward Mark from you,
Yeah.
John?
Yeah.
You gonna dignify John? You gonna leave him hanging, Mark?
Oh, well,
He just said hi, cuz.
I'm pretty much convinced we're related back in when our ancestors were in Switzerland,
Fantastic.
or maybe after.
I was just giving you a hard time, Mark. So are you ready, Keith? I mean, Jim?
Yes, let me share screen, right? Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, it's working.
So this is the old time stunt scoreboard. So you fly 2 rounds and you pick your best score, and that's what forms the
All right.
racing. Very close, very close.
Oh yeah, that is close. Yeah, I know John Wright. I spoke to, or he left me a voicemail saying he had a problem with his fuel tank. He's going to replace his fuel tank. So I don't know. Wasn't it apparent to you that he was having trouble with his fuel tank?
I don't think a 290 is a troublesome flight. No, I didn't pay a lot of attention.
Okay,
But
I was just curious. I know he's working on changing the tank. I think he's going to put a clunk tank on his Ringmaster.
yeah, John is a formidable force in old time stunt. He takes great pleasure in bringing a beat up airplane with a motor he bought for $5 at a garage sale and whipping your butt. He's done it many times. So, it's always great to have John.
Yeah, well, John actually was very nice to me in my very contest. I didn't know him from nothing, and he kind of held him by the hand and kind of directed me where to go to get my plane weighed, to get it pull tested, and stuck around with me in my first contest. And so I really have a fondness toward him. Plus, we shared a hotel room at the Brodax. So yeah, we've become pretty good friends.
Good. All right, let me see if I can move on. Oh,
Alrighty.
okay, good. So this is classic stunt. So Rick Green was there. He flew an old chipmunk that Robin Sizemore had built. Rick Green scraped the top of the rudder during I think it was an outside round loop. And
Wow.
I got a photo of the rudder afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah. Chris McMillan, he was there. He flew
Oh, cool.
a Easky Nobler that he finished last year. Gary Gingerich was there. He flew a Hawker Hunter that I think was built by Leroy Black.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave Passanante was there. He's a good friend of Chris McMillan. Both of them are airline pilots and childhood buddies. Dave had I think it was a Skylark, or, well, it was something that Ed Capitanelli had built many moons ago.
All right.
And John Wright was there. He had like an ARF Nobler or something. So
Was that red? That Nobler? That John?
yeah, blue. It was
Blue.
blue.
Okay.
So again, you look at the John Wright score. That's no appearance point score.
Yeah. Yeah, John's a pretty good flyer, and he's I know he's having a little bit of a problem looking back, doing the overhead eights just because of getting older, and balance issues and that kind of stuff. So that's not bad at all.
Yeah. And Dennis Nunes won. He has the large Gladiator with I think it's an LA 46.
Yeah.
Dennis is a superb pilot and builder. So I'm never surprised to see him on top.
Yeah, he's all that you described, that's for sure.
I can make a comment about John Wright, if I can interrupt here. If and whenever he shows up at VSC with his Barnstormer, he's serious about winning. He won that Barnstormer, I think, the first VSC, and 25 years later, he won it again. And he's won several times with that Barnstormer.
Yep.
Kind of beat up and all that, but he can fly it.
Yeah. My favorite John Wright story is one morning he was going to an airplane contest, and he had a plane in mind to bring, and he went into his garage, and apparently his garage is in enough of disarray. He never could find the airplane. He had to take a different one.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I've been in his garage. Well, you know what? When as we get older, we accumulate so much stuff. You just figure even if you accumulate a couple of planes, a couple inches a year, and you're around for decades, next thing you know, you have a lot of stuff. So yeah. I just emailed John Wright an invitation to come into our show. So hopefully, I know he's been very busy. So I've been having a hard time reaching him as well. But I just sent him an email and some others. So maybe he might be able to make it in. So this is classic.
This was classic on Saturday. Again, it was nice weather, very nice weather. Notice everyone flew both rounds.
It's great.
Let's see if I can switch gears. Okay, here's expert. And on the left-hand side, you'll see some are marked with an A. So that's advanced. Those are the guys who flew advanced.
Okay.
And in the places on the far right column, 1, 2, and 3 with an A there also signifies advanced.
Oh, well, congratulations, Rick Green. He won advanced. That's great.
Yeah, maybe that's the flight he scraped the rudder on. I don't recall what day that happened on. So Tim Just, I don't know how many of you know Tim Just. He lives in Victorville. Really good guy, fabulous pilot. And he did very well. He's a student of Phil Granderson. Phil taught him a lot. And Tim made a point that he's just been doing control line stunt competitively. He said 4 years ago was the first time he came to this contest. And I suspect that's the first time I met Tim, was just 4 years ago. And he's a fabulous pilot. And he's got a very serious background in full-scale aerobatics, world champion level pilot at that. So he finished 4th. Dave Fitzgerald was there.
Wow.
So he always shows us how it ought to be done. So he flew 2 fabulous flights. Then I flew. I did very well. I flew about as well as I ever have. So
Oh, very nice.
was pleased. I was 3rd. It was that orange Predator that I know, Charles, you've seen it. It's got an Igor system in it. So any success I had, I attribute to the airplane. Bart entered and bailed out for reasons I don't know.
Oh, it's too bad.
Brett was 2nd.
Bart was having engine problems, so I didn't fly. At least that's what he told me.
So Brett flew very well with, I think he had told me he hadn't flown in a couple of months. And he made a 612, and that's not good enough. So that's true. That's true. Dennis Nunes flew the same Gladiator that he had flown in Classic. He had an E-powered airplane, but he didn't fly it. I didn't ask him why. Chris McMillan flew, I think, that same Nobler he had in Classic. Flew well. Chris always flies well. Again, another fella who never practices. Gary Gingrich flew that same Hawker Hunter that Leroy built. John Callentine always flies well. He flew a E-powered Thunder Gazer, the green one that many of you have seen.
Pretty plane.
Yeah. Kestis had a relatively new airplane that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kestis's airplanes. They're all composite. He builds them himself. I've seen all the photos. Some are variations of a Sabak full-scale airplane. This was a little bit different. This airplane, I know he had ripped the nose off of it a month ago.
Oh, man.
And he repaired it. I saw the repair photos. It was just fabulous. So he placed 5th. He's a few points behind us. And someone made the point, that's a new airplane for Kestis. So had he been flying the old airplane, might have done better. Probably true. So John Wright flew the same Nobler, again, no appearance points. And Dave Passamati also flew that same Skylark. I think it's a Skylark. And Rick Green flew that same Chipmunk. So, yeah, we had beautiful weather. At the end of the last round, the air did what it does in Tucson. It sort of stopped, it swirled. So Dave and I flew in that. I think it straightened out for Tim, but no one complained about the weather.
Oh, that's great. Great coverage. Thank you very much. I was looking forward to hearing about the contest. And it's great to see this stuff. And I think we have seen, and actually we've shown Kestis' new plane on this show before too. I hope we're still streaming to YouTube. I lost my my YouTube. I accidentally closed that tab on accident, so I am not. It says we're live here, so I think we're still live. Let me
Looks like
welcome Dennis Adamison. Thank you, Dennis, for coming in, and
Okay.
thank you, Gordon. Thanks for coming in, and thank you, Stuart, and thank you, Carl. Thank you for coming in, you guys. Appreciate it. What was you going to say, Dennis?
No, nothing. I've been behaving myself, asking permission, so I don't have to ask forgiveness, you know, so.
Oh, very good.
Uh,
Does anybody have the capability to see on their phone if we're streaming still? I'm just not sure if we're streaming.
Yeah, the YouTube looks good. I got it on the other screen here.
Oh, thank
And
you.
let's see, Jeff Riley, Jeff Dream is still good. So
All right, thank you. Let me see if I can get that back on my.
I guess we're good.
Yeah, I think we are still. When I go here, yeah. Just don't know what happened to that. Don't mind me. I'll figure this thing out. Let's see here. There it is.
Well, you're an experienced chat driver. You're usually on top of this. You'll get it.
Yeah, I
So,
just don't know what I did here. I normally can what I call the studio. If I just open up Google, maybe it'll be there still. But yeah, I normally keep tabs on another monitor, and that monitor went away for some reason. So, but anybody else do any flying or building since last time we was together?
Well, I got carbon fiber on my fuselage.
Oh, cool.
Now I get to start open for a week or two before I can sand on it. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Gordon,
Good to see you.
good to see you too.
Gordon, how you feeling?
Well, actually, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Of course, I took a pain pill about an hour ago, so I'm not feeling any pain.
And caffeine, you're trying to show us your new plane? You got a new Prowler?
all right.
Yes,
Oh,
just got it
here.
in my mailbox today.
Oh, that is great, and it's in good shape. No damage.
No damage. It's all in good shape, and it's small, I think, but it looks nice. So I will start building it this weekend, I guess.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got the control panel back, so I can see what's going on with the stream. So yeah, we're looking good. Jeff Riley says stream is still good. Thank you, Jeff. And Dennis did say that earlier, but now I can see it. And we have 20 likes. Thank you very much for the likes. Very good. So let me remove this. So anybody do any building? I know that Gordon said you got some carbon fiber on his fuselage, and you have your hand raised, Mark, but you're muted. Go ahead and let me know what you want to say.
I was just giving you a thumbs up, but I'm continuing to work on my Bearcat,
All right.
sanding and sanding and sanding. So
Yeah. Yep. Every finish is not finished, it's abandoned. That's like you get to the point where that's just enough, right? So I can't stand it anymore. Let me wrap this thing up.
Now, unfortunately, that point is getting earlier and earlier in the finishing process with every airplane. It's so,
Well, I had a freak accident yesterday.
uh-oh.
Oh,
It has a moderately happy ending.
oh, good.
I was flying that e-powered profile Pathfinder. I know, Charles, you've seen it.
I've seen it.
It
Good flying
has
plane.
it has a 3D printed Tom Morse motor mount in it. And last year I saw a crack in the motor mount. And I know what I did. I had put a washer under the motor to get some engine offset thrust. And so by putting a washer under that motor mount, you tighten everything up and it puts part of that motor mount into bending. And that caused a crack. So I filled the crack with epoxy, got rid of the washers, and started flying the airplane. So 40 flights later, which was yesterday, I'm flying along. I was at the top of a square 8, and the prop flew off.
Oh, wow.
So I saved the airplane. I was able to land, and I hear this buzzing. The prop's gone. The airplane looks most intact. I land. I walk over to the airplane. The motor mount had broken completely. The electric motor was just hanging by the 3 leads, buzzing, bzz, just running.
Wow.
Prop spinner was 30 feet away. So I turned it off and went home. So
Wow. Well,
now I've got a unique repair to get after. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I have a few ideas.
Hey, Jim, can you be sure which happened first, whether the mount failed or the vibration from the prop broke the motor mount?
I am 95% sure that the motor mount failed.
Okay.
The collet on the motor is fine. There was a big ding in the prop where it hit the motor mount. You know what? I can show it to you.
oh, cool. Right. Another show and tell.
Of the hard kind.
So here we go.
Let's see.
Okay, we can see that.
So you see this
yeah.
ring here?
Yeah.
The spinner lives inside of that ring. And there's a ding here, and there's a big ding on the prop where it hit the plastic.
Yep.
That was
A little bit higher, Jim. Just a little bit higher. There we go. Excellent.
So
Well, I'm glad you have that plane in one piece. That is good
Yeah.
news. Wow.
so it could have been a lot worse. I could have lost it.
Yes. You lost the airplane.
Now I just gotta figure out. I think I know how to fix it.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, thank you very much. And what do you got there? Oh, you have a new mount for
This might be a new mount for Jim. This is one of the Brodak profile mounts, and basically, Jim, you need to cut a 2-inch tall slot through the fuselage and cut this to length, to fit and fit over the wing or wherever. And it'll front mount the motor. And since I don't know what you can do to get another mount, another printed mount to replace that one. I don't know if Tom has any more, or if Okie has any more, or anything like that. So it was one of the mounts made by my brother because he made them all for Tom.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
But
Jim,
that's
I
about
have
that.
one if you need one.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. They're all different.
Yeah.
And I my current plan is to just build my own mount using, G10 and plywood,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
make that to hardwood, and then dig out the 3D printed plastic part, which is glued to maple.
Mhm.
Dig out that plastic and then glue and screw that to the maple that's intact. There's a lot going on behind. I'll show you.
Yeah, it seems like no matter what, first step is going to be to dig out the plastic. Even if you put new plastic in, you'd have to take out the old plastic. So, yeah.
So this is a cowl that's just held on with
I like that.
magnets.
That is so neat.
So here's the motor. Here's the inside of this is the plastic.
Yep.
This is all wood back here. So I really don't want to do anything aft of here. It's all intact.
Hmm.
So I think I can dig out the plastic and then just rebuild the nose. That's plan A today.
Yeah, I think you can get there from here.
Jim, was that a front mount or a rear mount engine?
Front.
Some people mount it from the front, some people mount it from the back. What was yours?
Mine was from the front.
Okay,
That's an interesting idea, Gordon.
yeah.
Mount it from the back. Yes, there's plan B.
Hmm.
This is your big chance to convert it to glow.
No,
Yeah, that'll be happening. Well, it was good. I take a lot of photos as I go. And this is that moment where those photos are incredibly valuable.
Good idea. That's a good point.
Yeah, I've done a couple of repairs. Without the photos, I'd have been sunk.
That's a great tip. Thank you very much. Let me welcome Lynn Burrell. Thank you, Lynn.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how you
Hello.
doing?
Hello.
hi, man.
Hey.
Hi, John.
Hi, Cody. Glad you're feeling better.
Can't hear you.
Say, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm feeling better or if it's the pain pills.
Well, in either case,
Either feeling better or feeling less, right? Something like that.
Good
Very
point.
good. Very good.
Either way, it's a positive outcome. So
Dennis, what is that airplane above your head?
there
Yeah, the red and looks like a combat plane.
it is. Very, very good.
Is that one of your designs?
In a manner of speaking. I built this when I was about 10 years old, about 1964. And that is a Jim Walker fire bat with one panel clipped off each end and booms added. You can see the remnants of the profile fuselage is still there.
Wow.
And it's got a good old Vico T21D pressure tank in it.
You've had that since you was 10 years old?
Yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
thought I had some old airplanes.
Well, I haven't flown it since I was about 10 and a half, so that probably helped, but yeah, you can't hardly see it, but you guys remember Scholastic?
Yeah.
yeah.
There it is. It's holding the nose on there, so it'll probably outlive us all.
The tissue's
And-
holding up very well.
Yeah, there's a hole here and on the bottom. But yeah, it's still pretty tight and everything like that. I'm actually pretty surprised at that. So
Is that silk span on there?
just SGM, I think.
Apart.
And of course, back then everything was a Fink. All right, pink Fink rat racers, and since it was a fire brat, it became a fire Fink when it got modified. And guess who built it? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
There we
Oh,
go.
that is so cool, Dennis. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
think this is a combat cat tail on it. I don't quite remember. I think it might be a set of combat cat booms and stabilator. So,
Couple.
but anyhow, yeah, when I'm cleaning out my dad's house, this is one of the things that was left over, and it was like, I can't understand, none of the rest of the family wanted it, so. But here we go. And if I ever decide to restart my combat career, baby, I got airplane number 1, so.
Yep.
Very cool. I like the idea of using a coat hanger there. That's a pretty cool idea too.
Well, it was one of those mother of invention things. It's like I didn't have anything to hang it from. I had a coat hanger handy, so there we go. Anyhow, still had solid lead outs. Remember those?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Are yours having a bend in it, or are they perfectly straight?
yeah, they were perfectly straight. I think they're still pretty good.
Wow, that's pretty impressive from a plane.
Yeah,
that
again, most of the longevity of this thing is based on the fact that it wasn't flown very much. So
What engine did you have on it?
I was made. I think I had a G21. Might have had a Fox. I think they used the same mount, didn't they? I think it had a G21 on it.
Wow. Can't believe that silk span sailed up all these years. That's amazing.
Well, again,
Yeah.
it's just hanging in the basement, hasn't had any sunshine on it or anything like that, so it really hasn't had a chance to dry out. So it had a bunch of clear on it. I guess that was probably a good thing. So
amazing.
Well, thank you.
What kind of dope was it, Dennis? Was it Bactra or something else?
Aerogloss?
This was probably probably before Aerogloss. It was probably
Chester's?
it was probably Randolph's that was packaged by the local hobby shop. He packaged it under his own name.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm thinking it was Randolph's. There's a lot of the old paints are that, you know what I mean? They buy a big jug, and this guy would put it in his own jars and everything like that with his own name on it. And one of the things about it is that especially the colors, but even the clear, it was like molasses coming out of the can. It was like you could thin it 50%, and then you'd start to thin it, and everything was brushed. Everything was brushed on it. You thin it out enough to brush, and that was that. So
Right.
So
I remember that.
Yeah, so do I. You're not old enough, Lynn.
Well, I started in 72, and the guy who taught me was a really good scale builder, and he mixed paints, and he was very big on finishing. So yeah, I got to try a lot of things that a lot of the younger guys didn't get to try.
I'm pretty sure if that had been Aerogloss by now, it would have been, shattered.
Yep, I agree.
Aerogloss always dried really, really hard, but it had a tendency of crazing, cracking.
Yeah.
And just tissue like that, I think it would have fallen apart.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, you could always get a great finish on Aerogloss, but it wasn't a 20-year finish, that's for sure.
Did Keith get his plane ready?
Yeah, he did. Thank you. I was thinking the same thing, John. But did you go to sleep, Keith? Keith Ross.
Well, I see something there on his bench.
I'd say he's asleep.
Yeah.
I think he dozed off.
He'll wake up. Give him a chance.
Yeah.
I can't say anything. I sleep a lot on here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Len, you tread lightly there, Len.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing to say. Not a word. Gary, you can't talk either.
I know.
I was thinking the same thing, Gary.
I can't.
I'll start watching the movie, and I'll have to back it up and start it over because I fell asleep.
Yeah, Gary and I keep the sleeping cushions in good shape.
Well, I rest my eyes sometimes too.
Yes, you do.
I've done it.
Yes.
Yeah, I've done it.
Usually it only takes 1 or 2 shouts, I think, but anyhow.
I have message here on the chat. He says, this is Middlesex Modelers, Al Fierro. He says, Denny, where does the battery plug in? And he's has a
Well,
lot.
it plugged into the top of the G21 Tiger. All right. So
Yeah, right on the glow head.
around the glow plug. Actually, probably used a ask Al, do you remember using quick clips?
Yep, I have some.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, after the plastic broke, you rebuilt it on a clothespin, right?
Nice pin,
So-
yeah.
So
Sure done that.
yeah, that's it. I've got one of those out in the garage someplace too. I ought to dig it up, but those are great. And it was my, still
I
my
used
favorite
to
way of
use
lighting off
an old TV connector.
Oh,
The old, yeah, that used to hook on the back of the TV.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they,
Oh.
TV
that was a
clip, yeah.
symmetrical clip, I think.
Aren't you clever?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just bend the lugs over and get it the way you want it. You got yourself a nice clip.
That's
Works
it.
good. Yeah.
And if the engine didn't start, he'd just stand in a different place and wiggle it around until the reception was right.
No,
We used to have alligator clips. One went on the glow plug, the other one on the exhaust port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-muffler days.
That's it.
The
Yeah.
nice thing about that was you just grab both wires and pull, took them off.
The thing to use if you're flying combat. But when
Yeah.
it's stunt ships, you had to go to the round ones so you get it inside the cowl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that would be called rabbit ears, right?
That's it. That's why he used the TV connectors, because his battery looked like rabbit ears. So anyhow.
Yeah, Dennis, I could see him, somebody standing out there by his airplane with the rabbit ears rotating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm curious to where Caffeine got that kit. It looks in real good shape. Did you get that kit in Indonesia or did you get it shipped into you?
No, it's from eBay.
Really?
What kind of kit?
It's Prowler. Let me open it first.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Beautiful.
Good old Scott Smith Prowler.
That'll keep you
Mhm.
busy. Perfect.
Those things really fly well, don't they?
Yeah,
They do.
yeah. Take good care of that. That's a fine model airplane.
Mm-hmm.
You need a knife there, Caffeine.
Yep.
Refresh my memories. Who designed the Prowler?
Bob.
Scott Smith, right?
I thought it was Bob Hunt.
Well,
Bob Hunt.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
Scott kitted it.
Cool.
Bob's not on the chime in here.
I was thinking somebody else, but too many years ago.
Now the Prowler and the RD2 or RD1 are the same.
Close.
They're different. They're close.
Yeah, a little bit.
oops.
Here comes the big reveal.
Caffeine will have the last word because he'll have the set of drawings in there.
He's going to be so excited when he opens this box. We won't see him for 3 months.
He's got to get it all back in the box too.
No. Once you get it out, once you
Yeah, you
start
keep
taking
it
the
out.
parts out, you gotta
There you go.
build it. So
Yeah, you never to put it back. You just keep
that's
going.
right. You start gluing pieces together, it's too big to put back in a box. So
That's right. Look at that wing.
There's the wing.
Show us the end view of the wing. Show me the root.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
Okay, that's not Hunt.
No, that's not Hunt's wing.
That's the wing.
Not
And
skinned either.
yeah, it's
No.
That was a real craftsman. I
Oh.
wouldn't be surprised if he did that himself.
all good.
You're almost done.
All good. All right.
Yep.
there we
Look at that.
go. I don't know. I think you take a bottle of glue, toss it in the box, shake the box real good, and out pops an airplane, man.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Let me know
maybe
how that
not
works
that,
out for
maybe
you.
not that quick, but,
Good luck with that caffeine.
Box.
Yep, and I got all
Good.
the all the
All the hardware, yep,
yep, and
nice.
it's going to be really good.
Take care of those cradles. They're imperative to
Mhm.
skin the wings correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and after you skin it, they'll help protect it in odd times when you're trying to handle it or store it.
We're trying not to handle it.
Yeah.
well, congratulations. Looks
Good
like you
stuff.
got you a good plane to learn more of the pattern with.
Yep.
What are you going to power it with?
I think I'm going to power with my Enya SS30.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be a good
What's
size.
the wing area on that?
Let me see.
I think it's around 550, about the same size as Nova, if I remember.
It's 490.
Oh, 490, wow.
Oh, that SS30 would be perfect for it.
Yep.
Sure will.
Remember though, they take a while to break in, so you want to start breaking that Enya in right now if it's not already broken in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually my old SS30, and it's been broken in way back years.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
But
No
yeah,
problem.
I haven't used it lately, so yeah, we'll do some a bit breaking, you know.
Good. It's good engine. So when do you plan on starting to build that?
I think I will start it like this weekend or next weekend, I guess. Well,
Very
I'm going to build it with my friend because I asked my friend, and hey, you wanna start flying a control line plane, and then yeah, he really wanted to build one, and he doesn't know where to start. And when I found this, I think it's a good start for me and him to share this plane. Well, yeah, it's going to be a shared plane with my friend.
Oh, very cool.
very
Mhm.
good.
That's a
Yeah,
good way to have a flying buddy.
Yep. That's my main goal, to have more people to fly control line in Indonesia. So I just asked, yeah, just share the cost, and then probably he will be more encouraged to do so, because
Mhm.
the first time you fly, yeah, it will cost the most, because you have to invest in tools and engine and everything else. So yeah, that's my way to have more people to fly.
Good step.
Good idea.
Mhm.
Yep.
Let me welcome Howard Rush. Hey, Howard, thanks for coming in. And let me welcome Joe Gilbert. Thank you, Joe, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Hi, Joe.
Good to be here. Hey, Joe.
So, Howard, have you done any flying, or the weather's still too wet up there in Washington?
Cold and wet.
Cold and wet. So you've been working on your dogs then, or?
No.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. There's nothing wrong
Are
with
you
the,
responsible?
if nothing's wrong with them, then, don't fix them, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Are you responsible for any of those unidentified flying objects, Howard?
I'd rather not say.
No Boeing products up there, Howard. No Boeing products.
You got away from him.
So, Joe, you've been doing any, Joe Gilbert, you've been doing any work on planes, or been flying, or?
Flew today. We went out. 6 of us went out and flew. Had a good day.
Great.
Outstanding.
Tucson time, y'all. You got to start getting ready.
Very cool. Absolutely. So what'd you go fly today?
Ringmasters and Cavaliers.
All right.
Oh, very nice.
Good
I was gonna
stuff.
ask if you found any luck with your de Havilland and trying to
Not
find a
any-
new gypsy or.
No, I have not found any parts. What
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll find is in Australia. No, yeah, Australia or Britain. There's nothing in America I can find. Not a
Wow.
Wow.
thing. Just nothing. It's
Actually,
we'll see.
On a sort of related subject, does anybody know, Sega originally brought out the, Mike, the Jim Van Loo / Mike Stott Chipmunk, that had the de Havilland nose on it, had the Harold Cryer airplane, had a different rudder on it basically, but it was otherwise, visually just like the trainer Chipmunk. And then later on, they brought out the Super Chipmunk, which, as near as I can tell, except for the cowl, is the same airplane, but I don't know that for sure. Does anybody
You're
know
real
for sure if they
close.
changed
I think
anything?
he put a
Dan
Ranger in there.
McEntee, Dan McEntee showed up at a contest with a what looked like an early version, but it was actually the Super Chipmunk that he put the de Havilland nose on it, and it was so close you couldn't tell the difference. You wouldn't have known it if he hadn't told you. So I think they're awful close, like Joe said.
Well,
Yeah.
Harold, the first one he built had a Ranger, and I think they reskinned the fuselage, makes them a little heavier, and they cut the wings off a little. They cut the flaps down, moved ailerons in, and the tail was a large tail. The elevator was the same, and those were British ones. The tail feathers are a little different on the British than they are the Canadians, and he used Canadians. But the Ranger engine is almost. They had to move some stuff back, but it looks like the same cow, fits in the same holes. I think awful close.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize he had a Ranger. I thought it was all de Havilland. So, and actually if I built this thing, I think what I'd really like to do is I'd take it that extra half step farther, and I would build the original de Havilland fin and rudder on it too, which I think is,
Well,
just classic.
the rudder, the Canadians had a bigger rudder
Mhm.
than the British, and the Canadians had a canopy that the British didn't have it. The
Right,
British
the British had a bird cage kind of
built
thing.
that plane. The Canadians built it first, and they used American rivets and aluminum thicknesses, and the only thing BS is the engine. When the British took it home, they knew more, and they used lighter skins and littler rivets and a different dog bone between the rudders and the smaller rudder, and it had cracking problems and stuff problems. It was built a little too light, and most of the ones they put the bigger rudders on them. It's probably 4 inches of the difference. Denny, is that the very bottom is 4 inches wider, and then go back to that same mark as the top. But the one Cryer flew and the boys, they're different. They made a whole different rudder.
Yeah, I think they had it. My swag is that they had the same fin. They just put a new rudder on it.
The rudder's about 4 to 5 inches at the base. You'll see they got a flat back on them. That slat back straight up for the British, and they didn't spin as good, so they put strakes on them, and they did all kind of model. The guy who built it had it right.
Yeah.
In Canada.
And of course, by the time Harold Cryer put it, and there was one with Bill Lumley after that, the rudders on it, I think they made them about 3 feet wide. It looked that. I mean, they're huge, but
that's right. That's right.
They're just and
different animal.
Yeah, they kind of lose some of the charm. So
yes, I've never flown anything but the stock chippies, but I'm certain if you could get a 210 horse Continental in the nose of that thing, and they built something like that from the factory, that'd be a really nice airplane. But the weights and all the balance of it, they fly nice. They fly real nice.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just curious. That was one of the kits I got from my brother's estate. I got a Super Chipmunk up here, and I don't know what else to do with it, but
well, those had horizontal engines on them, didn't he?
Yeah. But that was the point. Is that that doesn't make my heart go pitter patter, Joe. So if I wanted.
on the fuselages. They made some changes to them to
Yeah,
accept
yeah,
reinforced motor up front or whatever it is.
yeah.
Let me
So anyhow,
welcome Tom Rammel and Rick Mason. Thank you guys for coming in.
Guys.
Tom, haven't seen you forever.
And Rick Mason, it's been a long time. This is your second time in here, right?
It's about, yeah, probably about the third. I hadn't been on for a while. I watch you guys all the time, but I'm kind of a voyeur, so.
No problem. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
We flew his airplane today too.
Well, yes, we did, didn't we? Well, tried. I got fuel tank fixed tonight, Joe.
Good show. Good.
What plane did you bring, Rick? What plane was that?
Twister. Joe and I were flying the Twister, and it just, we couldn't get it running right. We come to find out that the tank was leaking, so. I got it straightened up. Joe did a very, very nice upside down landing. Didn't even scratch the plane.
Bent the needle valve. Bent the needle valve.
Well, that's minor.
Was that any landing you can walk away from is a good one. So
That's absolutely right. I figured $1 needle valve isn't a big deal.
My instructor said anyone you can taxi away from is a good idea.
yeah.
That may be right.
Remember, takeoffs are optional, landings are mandatory. So
You're gonna land.
Anyhow.
You are gonna land.
Hey Keith.
Yeah.
Is that a big job over your shoulder there?
Yeah.
We have a nice crowd for you now, Keith. Now you can really show off.
Okay. Well, I use polar gray for a blocking coat, and this is the cow.
Okay.
For color.
Nice.
And one of the wheel pants. And it's finally taken shape.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
That is just gorgeous.
And it's a one-piece elevator, and it's ready for color.
Look at that.
Very nice.
Keith, how many coats of clear you got on that before you went to your polar gray?
Brushed on the carbon, and I brushed it on, and then after that, maybe 5 coats of clear, 4 or 5 coats of clear, and pretty thin. Probably I use as much thinner as I do dope, almost. So there were about, I think, 3 coats of clear over once I got the carbon mat on, and then sand down sanded that down, then sand down 2 more coats to where it started to have pretty smooth feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then put on the it's the primer, Brodak primer that I put on over that to fill in the grain of the carbon. And
Keith, was that Beauty Raid or was it?
The clear coats are all done with
Nitrate.
Nitrate. Yeah. The carbon's put on with nitrate, and then it's filled up with nitrate, and then after the nitrate, after the 5th, 6th coat, where it's starting to feel smooth, you put on the primer, and that fills in all the little pores and dips and so forth. It's still in that carbon mat.
And that was a butyrate? That was your first butyrate coat?
That was the first butyrate. That's all Brodak
Okay.
stuff. It's Brodak primer or clear and Brodak primer. And now that I'm using the blocking coat it's a polar gray. You can use they've got a lighter gray, but this seems to work okay. And white works real good on this.
Yeah.
If you don't put on the blocking coat, because after you've done the carbon mat and the clear, and then it's got the primer on it, it's just real black and white splotchy.
Mm-hmm.
It'd take a whole bunch of white before you'd ever cover it. 2 coats of this gray like this, and got a nice solid color, and white covers it very nicely and evenly. And then airplane is, I haven't really learned how to do this fiber or this polyspan covering yet, but I still work on it, and it's coming along. So going to use the same color scheme as the previous one, so I'll be able to copy the templates off of that to put on this thing, and we'll have fight on it tomorrow.
Pete Peterson is the polyspan guy. He'll give you the lowdown on it.
I'll have to talk to him. We were going to be in Tucson together, but Diana's mother is not well, and so they're not going to be able to make Tucson.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I switched to
Polyspan.
Thank you, polyspan back in the 90s when I built my first Colossus. I haven't gone back to silkspan since. I just love the polyspan.
Me too.
What do you do? What do you do to you put it on? What do you put it on with?
I use dope. I put a couple coats of clear dope on the wood surfaces,
Yeah.
and then I use a little thinner dope to put it down. You know, you're actually using a brush, but it's put on just like you do monocoat. And when I, like on my Heinz, when I got through, I had a big wad towards the front of the wingtip there, and I just used the heat gun and pulled on it, and it just pulled it right out. No cuts, nothing. It just shrunk it right out. And then while I'm holding it, I finished opening it down. The biggest mistake a lot of people make is they start sanding it before they have enough dope on it.
Yep.
And if you do that, then you get the little whiskers jumping up at you.
Yep.
So
I put on 4 or 5 coats of dope before I ever touch sandpaper.
Me too.
And I put it on mostly with thinner.
Yeah, you can do it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes hot stuff helps.
Yeah.
In a pinch in a wingtip.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that, like, big surfaces using hot stuff instead of dope and everything like that. And all I could think of, if I did that, I'd be, I'd react enough to the fumes from the hot stuff. I think that would absolutely drop me where I stand.
I've used, I do it like Gordy does, because that's where I learned it from. But I've also done it with Stixit or the heat activated glue, put it on there and do it the same way as you put on a monocoat or cover or whatever. Pull it, stretch it, use your heat iron and that, get it all down and everything, and then start doping it. But you always put 2 to 3 coats of dope on the framework before you ever put the Stixit on.
Don't ever glue a wrinkle down.
No.
Never, ever.
No, pull them out.
If you don't have it ironed in there, it'll come out. If you iron in a decrease,
it's there.
Yep.
I always try to do the wing tip and the wing in one piece. And on the few occasions, I mostly have been successful, and a couple occasions not. And on the wingtip, you can always punt and use silk span.
You just cut it off.
Oh, I've never had to use silk span at all on any of mine, Jim.
Well, you're a better man than me, Gordon.
You just got it's got to be like got to be able to pull and heat for sure. It's not easy.
Yeah, a lot of times I have to use a heat glove.
Yeah.
So when I'm pulling that wingtip, I can use the heat gun to pull the wrinkles out, then dope it before I release it.
Yep.
That's a good approach.
Yep. It's got to have a little extra.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Well, I tried it over 20 years ago, and I've never gone back.
Yep.
It's way stronger.
Where do you get the stuff anymore? Because I'm going to run out.
Well,
I
Tom
don't-
Morris is still selling it, isn't he?
That's the last place I got it was from Tom Morris.
Me too.
I think Brodak has it.
No, I don't think so. Not polyspan. They have fabric. They have something like the SIG coverall.
Oh,
I still got a bunch that I got from Tony Nacarata, 3 foot
Mhm.
wide, 22 feet long.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know where he got it, but he found a source for it.
yeah, I bought 10 feet of it and it's gone. So 3 feet wide. Maybe it was 12 feet, but anyway, I've used it all up.
Have you ever put it on the wrong way by accident and see what happens?
I don't have it. I did it on my elevators on my Heinz 57. I had to cut it all off.
That's right. I did too. I was trying to save some fabric, and put it on the other way, and it didn't tighten up between the ribs.
Well, this
Oh.
tightened up. It's just you got all those whiskers, and when you put dope on it, the dope goes weird on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
You're talking about, Joe, you're talking about the long way where
Yeah, put it
the,
north and south
Upside
instead of
down.
east and west. Yeah, put the grain.
Yeah.
Tail to nose.
the grain, I'm thinking upside down.
Yeah, no, I put the grain the wrong way.
Oh.
It won't tighten up tight.
Yeah,
Sometimes I can't tell what's upside down.
that was the problem I was having. I don't know if it's my eyes, even with my glasses, I was having a hard time, and Jim Rhodes come out and got me straightened around and covered the tail for me. But looking at it, I could not see a difference between the top and the bottom, and I know you can't put it on backwards.
So somebody suggested rubbing it against your whiskers and you could detect the difference.
Oh, that
Tried
pulled,
that.
that pulled all the fuzzies out on mine.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Let me welcome Bob Gore. Thanks for coming in, Bob. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
Can you show this off for just a second?
Yeah, make it big here. Looks like that's the shiny side, looks like.
Well, this is not polyspan. This is polyester sailcloth, basically, spinnaker sail material.
oh, yeah, yeah.
It is the same weight as polyspan and supposedly tougher. All right.
Ripstop is what it's called.
Ripstop, thank you. And see, Laurie Malila.
Lamilla.
Yeah, Miller. Nice.
Yeah, the guy, the builder of his own engines and everything like that. He put me onto that. Apparently the free flight guys, F1C, I guess it is, they discovered this stuff and they like using it because it's actually more puncture resistant on the bottom of a free flight model. They're DTing in, and it's actually more puncture resistant than polyspan. They started using this, and it's actually airtight enough where in this age of electric airplanes, supposedly you could put this on the airplane and never coat it. All right.
Oh, my word. Really?
Yeah. And I've only tried it a little bit. I had a couple of scraps I got from Laurie, and I put them on a junior ringmaster just to see what it handled like. And it handles, big picture, at least it seems like it handles pretty much like polyspan does. Stick it down and heat shrink it, or heat shrink. It doesn't seem to shrink as much as monocoat or anything like that. But again, I only tried it once and I didn't really make it try to work. It is expensive as hell, but I found it at some kite shops and FAI Model Supply and a couple other places. And it's available in different colors and everything like that. But it looks to me like it might be a viable covering. So.
Well, Tom
Sounds
Morris
like
has another covering. I forget what it's called. I can go pick up a package. It looks like polyspan, but he says it won't cover. You can't do a wingtip with it. You have to go to silk span or something like that on the wingtips. And I don't know if it has any advantages over polyspan or not. It looks almost the same thing.
A heavier gauge, you think, or
Pardon?
something like that? Do you think it might be a heavier gauge or something
Well,
like that,
let
if
me
it
go
doesn't
see if I can
shrink as well?
Take a package out. Hold on just a minute.
And we have a question from Howard Rush. He has his digital hand raised.
Two sources of polyspan are BMJR and Larry Davidson. I've been getting mine from Larry Davidson.
Okay.
Thank you. Isn't BMJR also still a source for silk span?
I don't know.
I doubt it. Silk span isn't made anymore.
I know,
Might
but
have
there's,
factor paper or something like that, but
there's some kit maker who must have a huge stock of it. Because I read the other day that he was selling it and had it available.
okay.
What about sick coverall? Too
Pretty
heavy?
heavy.
Pretty heavy. It's a fabric. It's stronger than hell, but it's, you crash your airplane, you'll have a brightly colored bag to carry the parts home in.
Yep.
But it is heavy. It can get real heavy real quick.
Dennis,
You're big, Keith.
Yeah, this thing stuff from Tom Morris just some time ago. He calls it polyester tissue. And it looks just like polyspan. It's really shiny on one side and almost dull on the other side, but and he says it works better, stronger than polyspan. But he says you can't do wingtips with it. So I've stayed away from it. I have enough trouble with wingtips anyway. I didn't need to try to use two different products to get a wingtip.
Just to your touch, does it feel like it might be a heavier gauge or something like that? You think
I
that's
think
why
it is,
doesn't-
well, yeah, I think it's a little bit heavier. But it's really smooth on the one side, definitely. You can tell the
noticeably smooth. I
Yeah.
suppose that would be an advantage all by itself, if you didn't have to guess.
Yeah.
I ended up almost guessing on when I did my wings on this last airplane. I was looking at it, and then finally, when you get it in the light just right in a roll, why you can tell. Okay, one had a little bit shinier side to it. You could find it, but it took a long time for me to decide, and then it was almost a guess.
Mm.
But it worked out.
I have a hand raised digitally by Mark Wise. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah.
While you guys were just chatting, it reminded me of one of the things that I promised I'd do for Pampa that I talked about last Thursday. And there are just a lot of folks out there. There seem to be two groups of people. One, they seem to know where to go for most things, and the others don't. And as we're trying to get people to get into control line stunt, I think that's critical because they can't go to the hobby shop. They can't go to Tower Hobbies. They can't, they're going to be really frustrated. So I'm curious. I got, what do we have? 18 people on here right now, I think.
Yeah.
Would you all be willing to accept an email from me? And I've written down things in about 10 categories. And if you have a lead on any of these, or at least where you get them, and if you don't, you don't, I think it'd be a good test case because it's going to be a lot of work. I don't mind doing it, but I'm just curious if people are willing to share those kind of things, like the thing that Howard just did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where to get that stuff, and now I know. Pampa needs to get into this business of information communication. And I'm just wondering, Charles, do you have the emails of these guys?
Yeah, I don't have Caffeine's information, but he's on the forum.
Okay. Well, look, I'll play too. I'll send you all an email, and it'll be real obvious who's interested in playing and who isn't, and that's fine. I think it's something important that we should get into. AMA is not going to do it. Now, I spoke to Chad Boudreaux the other day, and he said, you're doing things that AMA should do. And I didn't even know what to say. I said, I don't have a choice. Maybe you guys do.
Right.
He did share with me they've been on a 5-year skid on membership. He said this was the first year they've made the turn. He said it was minor. He said it was 1,000 new people. After a 5-year skid, that's a good indication. But I can't rely on them. They're in a different mode than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we represent, I think, 6% of all modelers. So where the emphasis is going to go. So I'll just get this out to you guys. And it's about 10 categories. You can go deep into it as you want. If there's someone that you don't want to add because you think they don't want their name out there, that's your privilege. I don't want to bust any personal relationships, but it'd be a heck of a nice selling point to recruit people who are not in the hobby and say, look, I think I have the magic formula for you. And certainly Brodak and the known companies are going to be in there. But there's a lot that goes on, between the lines. So if you don't want to do it, maybe you could just reply and just say, I don't want to do it, and here's my reason. I'm not going to ask you again. There's no good list and bad list of people. I just thought I'd throw that out there because it just reminds me that it happens every week. Every Monday and Friday, someone says something, and if I can grab my pencil quick enough, I'm the benefactor.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's a brilliant.
I'm just curious, what are the 10 categories off the top of your head that you can think of?
Well, you can almost think of them. Some of them are a little bit hard to categorize, but one would be aircraft. Okay, kits, ARF, plans. Okay, like I know I just found out that Tom Dixon wants to get pretty serious about doing low-cost ARFs. Okay, he told me in the last week he's already sold 2 ready to go with motors. And he's not making a fortune on these. The planes are $300. He's not getting rich. Then a section on woods, contest balsa, hardwoods. Okay, covering material. There are about 5 categories in there that I could think of. Carbon fiber. Okay, where do you get the veil from? Where do you get the rods from? I just learned that Central Hobbies has a lot of things I didn't know they had. Okay, Bob Hunt asked me, why using Dubrow ball lengths? I said, that's what I've always used. He said, well, you got to get the ones from the place in Billings. And I said, I didn't know. They said, what do you mean you didn't know? I said, no one ever told me. What do you mean I didn't know? Right. So it just happens all the time. Like I know a guy who produces very good fuel, and he's producing it every day, and not at the crazy prices that you've seen it in hobby shops. So I'm going to put that on my list. So I would appreciate whatever you guys could do. It's not for me. I have all the stuff I'll ever need. It's for people that can't find it and those that we'd like to join and move up into the stunt ranks. So
I think that's a great
sermon
idea.
over.
Okay.
Thank you. Excellent. I have a couple of comments in the chat box. Jonathan Caradas, I know that I'm butchering your name, so please forgive me. Sorry about that. He says, greetings, and he's one of our supporters. He actually has the moniker next to his name. He's a supporting member of our YouTube channel, so thank you for that. Greetings, Aces. Hi. Might just hover in the background at the moment. Had a hell of a hammering from Cyclone Gabriel. Yeah, so I'm glad to hear from you. And then then Jeff Riley. He says the ripstop nylon is the same fabric we use on our 2 stringer kites. They would hold up to more wind than 018 combat lines.
That's right.
Very good. So we're set there.
Okay, Charles, can I do a share?
Yeah, did I set that up already? I think it's set up. Yeah, it should be set
Yeah,
up.
it's set up. First off, did you get the email that I sent you?
I saw it, and I'm so sorry I have not responded.
Okay,
I
well,
did
you know
see
what
it.
what I'd like to share then. It's okay
Yeah.
with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's something that we all should be interested in.
Okay, this is something I've been teasing over the last several weeks and stuff like that. I mentioned that Jim Hoffman and Mark Gerber and I were working on something on a update to the Pampa, potentially to the Pampa old time stunt pattern and judges guide. The new for those of us who've been flying old time stunt, we had a set of Pampa rules that was an overlay to the 1952 AMA pattern with separate documents for a list of eligible old time airplanes in kits, in plans, and then other airplanes that were neither kitted or published but were known to be from the old time era, those on another list. And then what we've tried to do is tried to take all of this information and put it in one place, and in the process tried to update a few things. I don't intend on going through all 24 pages of it, but I wanted to give you a flavor for what we're doing. One of the things that's frustrating with the old time pattern is the 1952 rules. The rule book had maneuver descriptions and drawings that were very, very hard to decipher and hard to interpret. And we first started off trying to write a judge's guide to help guide judges and flyers through the pattern. I had naively thought that, hey, in a single 8.5 by 11, we could do a cover sheet, say, hey, when it says this, it means this. And no, it got completely out of control on that, and it wasn't going anywhere. And of course, we don't have a time machine to go back and fix maneuver descriptions or anything like that. So the only thing left to us was to try to write new words that try to interpret maneuver by maneuver what's going on with the old time pattern. So let me walk in. It's, for example, and what we've done here, we have information directly from the 1952 pattern. All right. And then we have a modern judge's guide description, basically what they're trying to do. And one thing that really has helped us too is one of the last things we did was Mark Gerber came up with a set of maneuver descriptions that in some place replaced things that either weren't there originally or improved on them. All right. For example, there was no definition on a simple thing like taking off. All right. And Mark, produced this diagram that showed, hey, takeoff starts when you release the airplane and takeoff lasts for one lap. And one thing that's unique in the old time pattern is takeoff and level flight are two separate maneuvers. Okay. It's not takeoff and level flight as it is in the modern pattern. So here's the takeoff description with a drawing and stuff like that. And rules say, the words that were written, wobbles and bounces into the air, rough takeoff, judged in many cases, airplane instantly airborne. We thought we could do a better job with that. We tried, writing that description, and that's not an awful lot there, but we've made it clear that the takeoff is a one lap from release maneuver. And then starting the level flight maneuver is laps 2 and 3. Again, from referencing from the point of when the takeoff ends and when the level flight begins. So, yes, somebody's trying to say something there.
No, that's I took care of it. I just muted Gary. Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay. So now I think is where you start seeing the real value in the maneuver, the descriptions and drawings that Mark was doing here. This is the drawing we been using. It was made in 1952. This is for the climb maneuver. All right. And then this is Mark's update of that same drawing, showing that it starts at level flight, makes a clean, hard turn. It used to say a 5-foot radius turn and things like that. All the square corners were basically defined as 5-foot radius, which of course, even with the modern pattern, we have gone away from. And heaven forbid that you could do that with an old time airplane. I mean, some of them turn pretty good, but a 5-foot radius is just not one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shows that the intent on a climb maneuver is to do a dead vertical climb of a minimum 15 feet long or tall. Okay.
In fact, I think the only thing you're judged on the climb is that 15-foot, minimum 15-foot vertical climb.
Exactly. That is the maneuver. It really doesn't have an awful lot to do with how you get there, how you get out of it, but you got to be dead vertical for 15 feet. And that's what you're judged on. One thing we tried not to make any changes to the old time pattern, but we made one that is actually kind of keeping up with modern practice. Is that the old time pattern used to require that you do a hand signal before you're ready to start, and now we're adopting the modern practice of saying your flight becomes official when you begin the dive maneuver. Okay. And we've stated that in the maneuver, flight becomes official when the pilot commences the dive maneuver. And lo and behold, here we go. A clean, hard turn to vertical, a 15-foot minimum dive. Right, same thing, just the opposite direction. This is probably the single most intimidating maneuver in all of control line aerobatics. At least it is for me, getting used to doing that. You certainly don't want to sneak into it at this corner.
No.
Because if the softer you make that corner, you run out of room and everything like that. So you want to hit it hard and deliver it and everything like that. This is, of course, the wing over. Again, 90-degree corners, straight over the top, start, begin, level flight. I think this is one of the ones that really started bringing it home for me. This is just a simple round loops. Okay, the original description, entire series should be done within a quarter lap with the control lines at an angle of 60 degrees or less to the ground during all times during the maneuver. All right. And there should be judged for roundness and smoothness. Okay, so we got 3 criteria here: 60 degrees tall, 90 degrees wide, and round. Well, guess what? You can only do 2 out of those 3. You can make it 60 degrees tall and 90 degrees wide, and it won't be round. Or you can make it round at 90 degrees, wide and tall, but then it'll be above 60. If you can do it 60 degrees, of course, and it won't hit the 90-degree width, all right? That's just plain an impossible thing that had to be fixed. And what we settled on, of course, was we're going to take the 60-degree elevation and round this, okay? So, and that's what we've done here. Now, another thing that is often heard is that the old time pattern is 60 degrees or bigger. Well, that's wrong. It's as simple as that. It said even back in 1952, this 60-degree maneuver was a maximum size. It was 60 degrees or less, meaning 61 degrees was an error. All right, but too many times you go to an old time contest, and it's the bigger you do it, the more points you get, and that's wrong. Now, and in other places here, let's see, all loops should be the same size as the first one for maximum points. All right, since the 60 degrees has been defined as a maximum height, and here it just says they all have to be, well, in other parts, it has to be smooth in the same spot, and should all be the same size for maximum points. I think it's pretty clear that doing a maneuver less than 60 degrees is not an error, as long as they're all the same and the airplane isn't mushing or turning poorly or anything like that. All right. And that, frankly, that helps explain the stories, some of the stories we've heard from the old time flyers and stuff like that, that they always used to fly fast as they could, as loud as they could, as low as they could, and as tight as they could. That's why. It's been in there all the time, but we've been misdefining it. All right.
Excellent.
And here, like here, we've sent in so many words in our judge's guide, the quarter lap reference in the 1952 figure is to be ignored. All right, the quarter lap width, because it's inconsistent with the height requirement. All right. Okay,
Dennis,
same bait. Yes, sir.
if you look at that drawing, the 90 is the flat part of the maneuver entering and exiting. If you come out of that loop and you climb or dive, that's a deduction in the O way, the way I see it. The 90 degrees was a reference from you start here at 90, you fly level. You do 5 loops and you fly level out to 90. That's when the maneuver started and ended. That's where that 90 comes from in my mind.
Well, I don't know. That is
That's
good a
what
guess as any, but they
that's the way
didn't
it's
draw
drawn.
it so much on the entry and effort. You know, they drew that as part of the total envelope of the maneuver.
Yeah, that's right. The 90 degrees is what you're allowed for flat, do the maneuver, exit.
Yeah.
But that's
Which
the way
means,
but
okay,
the loops-
Joe, and to your point, I guess what you're saying is that they were going to allow 45 degrees of a circle to wiggle into the loop, do your loops, and then wiggle back out of it.
better be level going in and level coming out.
All right. Now, what we've done is we've shown that the start and the end is exactly, you know,
So
in the same parts at the tangency to level flight for the insides.
If you do that loop in Pampa and you exit it and climb up 20 degrees and level back off, you're going to get dinged.
You sure will. You'll get dinged you'll get dinged all the time for not flying smoothly. But
That's right.
the maneuver itself, the maneuver that you did,
Stop judging.
Pampa or old time, you know, always has the same starting and ending point
So-
in a level flight. If
To me, the old time
bobble
show-
out of it and everything like that, you've made a terrible thing. So
I just think the drawing I'm looking at in old time tells me you better in it level, do 5 the same size, 60 degrees max, it says right there. And you better
Mhm.
exit level to 90 degrees. That's what that told me by drawing, by looking at the drawing.
okay.
It said plainly 60-degree loop, but you got to be level at 90, do your 5 at 60, and level out to 90 to get maximum points. That's what I see in that maneuver.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I guess
Pampa, that's not-
I've never heard of it defined that way, and I certainly didn't. But I guess I could see your point. But I think what we're trying to establish
doing-
here is that
what
it,
you're
you know, we're trying to show a clear start and finish in every maneuver.
They've always been 60, in my opinion.
It has, but you and I know that we've seen people fly much bigger and get a lot. I've seen somebody fly 80 degrees and win a national championship. All right.
That's true. I like what you're doing. I'm just saying
Mhm.
it was always been 60.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
the
outside
rule
loops
book
pretty
has
much the
always
same,
been-
and the outside loops was the first time where there's an alternate entry. You can begin it from inverted flight at the bottom, or you can begin it from upright flight at the top. Okay.
Right.
So we tried to show that. And if you begin it at the top, then your start and finish is dead center at the top. And if you begin at the bottom, your start and finish is right there.
Hey, Dennis, I think Jim Hoffman had a question or comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jim. I don't see everybody here. So Jim?
I just wanted to say that on the right side of the page, it shows the 60 degrees is a max. And we've done the same thing on the updated version.
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
It's not a nominal, it's a max.
Right.
Good point.
Okay.
Here we go.
Inverted flight we defined with the same level flight requirements, 2 laps inverted, and 2 laps begin exactly 2 laps beginning when the airplane is first leveled, and extra laps are not downgraded. And it's been one of those things, what is it exactly 2 laps or not? Well, there isn't anything here that I could see that says
Oh,
that
there's
there's a
one
hard,
thing that
a
a lot
hard
of people
requirement.
miss. Okay.
I'm sorry, Keith. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
one thing people miss on the inverted flight, in the old time rules, it says right there, immediately upon becoming inverted, the model should attain a 6-foot altitude.
That's
With
right.
Doing an inside loop, you have to almost do a 3/4 inside loop and then pull out inverted, like you're doing the first 5/8 of a horizontal 8.
Mhm.
To get into inverted flight as soon as possible. In other words, you don't go to the top of the loop and then gradually descend looking for that 5 or 6 foot altitude. and then maybe half a lap later or whatever, and then establish your level inverted.
I agree.
flight. It has to be done, it says immediately after attaining inverted flight, you attain the proper altitude.
That's
Some
correct.
people miss that because you can see them elongate that loop until they're searching for that altitude, that 6-foot altitude, maybe half a lap later. And that's wrong.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I think and Keith, you're absolutely right. And I think the danger is for the people who are trying to sneak into that inverted flight is like where they think they've established level flight. The judge may have already said, "Oh, looks like level inverted flight just started right there." You know, might have started an eighth of a lap sooner or later or something like that, for where the flyer thought it was. And it's up to the flyer, frankly, to do a concise definition of where his inverted flight is. Just
Like
the way you described it, with
like I
a
say,
fairly
it's like
abrupt turn.
it's like 3/8 of a horizontal 8 that you're doing.
Yes,
Right.
down and then equal diameter, but it has to be, it's one of those things where it's that transition, even though it's all round, you have to make it look like a hard line, you know, where
At
you
the
made that transition and I'm inverted, you know?
Yeah.
It should be downwind, exactly downwind, just like Mark's got it drawn. Bam, bam, get it there.
Okay.
I have a question before you go on to another maneuver. I mean, I'm more familiar with the Pampa level flight, level and inverted. I think in the rule book says there's allowance of 1 foot variance from, you know, from one revolution to the start of another. You can vary that much. Is that true with the old time, or I didn't
Well,
see?
here we go. And this comes up every pilot's meeting. Where's level flight? All right. So this is the way it was defined. 2 laps at 6 feet. Altitude must be between 6 and 10 feet.
But it only says 10 feet on the upright level laps. That's the only time
Exactly.
it
Now,
says,
even going a little bit further, if you want to maximize your level flight score, smooth, very stable, varies less than 2 feet in altitude. 6 to 10 feet is not very smooth. All right. And it must be a constant altitude should be maintained. Well, varying an altitude by 2 feet, you know, per lap over 2 laps, that's not very constant altitude.
No.
They're gonna dink you.
Yeah. I mean, and to be perfectly frank about it, when we were working this through and you know, we were trying not to change anything because we were just you can really get tangled up in your shorts on that. But I've never been comfortable with the 6 to 10 feet. I think that I could frankly, I could make a better case for, you know, 6 feet with a 2-foot variation. That sounds like 5 to 7. Or it could be 6 feet with 2 feet variation. That means maybe a 4 to 6 foot flight or a 6 to 8 foot flight.
Right.
But that 10 feet just, to me, it almost reads like a threshold, like it's a maximum of, you know, or something like that. You know, you pass through it, or if you go past it, maybe you really flunk level flight, you know? So I don't know.
To me, the way I read it, you could fly 2 perfect laps at 6 feet, get a 5 or 10 or whatever, and you could fly 2 laps at 10 feet, perfect, and you should get the same score.
Yeah, that's the way I read it.
Yeah, it's yeah, and that's the round and yeah. So hold that thought in mind. I want to come back to something where we might be able to fix that later on. But anyhow, all right.
Dennis, before you move on.
Yes, sir.
You're saying you was flying inverted at 6 feet or upright, or yeah, inverted, and you could drop it down to 4 feet. And I thought the rule says you're not supposed to be below 6 feet.
That's correct.
Well,
that's 6 foot or more.
Yeah.
It said 6 foot, you know, it implied 6 foot with no more than 2 feet of variation, and inverted, it says 6 feet and let's see, should be judged the same as level flight for the first 2 laps. All right. Now, what the standard we chose to adopt here is if we're going to define level upright flight at 6 to 10 feet, and it's supposed to be the same for inverted, we should define the inverted level flight as 6 to 10 feet.
Right.
Should be the same. We can argue whether 6 to 10 is the right, okay, 6 feet or more in the diagram. All
Yeah.
right. But not really in the words.
Yeah, the way I interpret it there, if you really drop down to 4 feet inverted, that should be a deduction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, that's one of the reasons, the things that always comes up in a pilots meeting. And I think what we've tried to do is establish that it should be, 6 to 10 feet implies that 5 to 11 is bad. 5 or 11 is bad. All right. So,
Yeah.
So two of the things that we tried to do is keep it simple. So if you're defining level flight as, say, between 6 to 10, let's be consistent to the whole pattern, and that's what level flight is.
Mhm.
Also, we strive to make it as common with the traditional modern AMA pattern, which also is that way. Level flight, that altitude range is consistent throughout the pattern.
mhm.
No heartburn.
That's it. Okay,
do we
speaking of
have-
heartburn, how many CDs and judges and everything have been asked, hey, what about that X in the middle of the horizontal 8?
Yep.
Says so right on the drawing there. Well, it
Not
says so
round.
on the drawing, but it doesn't say so in the words. All right. And to me, this is one of the best things that Mark did, was by showing that showing it perfectly clear. It's 2 circles together. And we did put these dotted line flight paths on there because there had to be some way to show that the airplane was going in a different direction. All right. But that's it. And again, we did the same thing, the 60 degrees maximum elevation. And this one here was supposed to be a half a lap wide. And Joe, your comments about, counting entries and exits beyond where the maneuver is, I suppose that would apply there, but 180 degrees, again, we have chosen to define the start and finish at the same point, basically at the bottom of the first of the inside loop. Okay.
I think it's perfect.
I don't know if it's perfect or not, but I think
That's the way they should
we've
look.
made some real strides here.
Yeah, if the 8 looks like that, you'll get scored well.
Yeah. Vertical 8, we showed 2 diagrams. And why? Because you can start the vertical 8 at the bottom, or you can start the vertical 8 in the middle.
I did not know that.
Yeah. My question was going to be, just for curiosity, has anybody ever seen anybody start the vertical 8 in the middle?
I have.
I'm
How
sorry?
could you
I-
do degrees?
Well, if you go read the old time rules, there's about 8 or at least 4 or 6 ways to fly the vertical 8, just like the overhead 8, depending on how you enter, either from the side, the bottom, or whatever, or the center, or inverted or upright or whatever, because the rule's not clear.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are showing a level flight entry and a middle of the maneuver entry. And even on the middle of maneuver, it does not indicate whether you do the bottom loop first or the top loop first.
That's right.
And really, to Keith's point, there isn't any reason why you couldn't judge it or start it from a inverted 45 degrees and all the same things. So anyhow, what we have done, we tried to salvage the alternate entry, even though I think about 99% or more of flyers are starting it this way. But that one was still out there.
It's like you'll see some people do the outside loops starting from the top. I used to think that was clever, and then I was having a hard time finding the bottom.
That's right.
That's it. That's
We
it.
tried to capture all those variations that exist in the 52 rules and capture them and make them clear in the new guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody tell me what this maneuver over here on the right is?
Spaghetti bowl.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that one's a little better. All right.
Wow.
But I think this may have been the best one of the bunch. And we've tried to define a start and end from the 30-degree minimum elevation, just like it used to say.
I think you're perfect.
And do the overhead 8 starting at the bottom, starting at the edge of one of the inside loops, and then
The
flying
judge's
flying on
left.
through it. Yeah. Well, we put a wind arrow on that. I don't think it really mattered. Let's see. Could you? Yeah, you could fly it backwards if you wanted.
You show in there the entry, you're starting the first loop against the wind. You could start that first loop with the wind.
Yeah, and
can't say
we
that.
do have a generic comment at the front that said the wind is not it's not a requirement. It's shown in some cases to that try to help clarify, to try to help orient how the maneuver is, so you don't fly it, for example, crossways to the wind or something like that.
Hey,
No.
Dennis, does
Yeah,
it matter
Len.
which way the pilot is facing?
Nope.
I didn't
No.
think so. Okay,
Well,
that's all I
what
need to
just
know.
said. You could start at the first loop facing
Yeah.
into the wind, or start that first loop.
Yeah, so basically, as long
backwards.
as you started on one side of the circle or the other side of the circle and finish in the same spot, you're good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it.
These rules state, and we took it right from the current AMA rules, that where we show the judges and where we show the wind is for reference only, and you can be anywhere.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Len, as a for instance, when I'm flying the modern pattern, I always face upwind and do the 8 so that it's oriented to me, at least like a regular contest 8. When I do
Right.
the old time pattern, I face downwind and I fly it like I'm flying an old time 8 or lazy 8, if you will.
Yes, I
All
got it. Okay, yeah. Makes sense to me.
And I'm not so sure I shouldn't be flying my modern 8s the same direction, but that's.
I mean, all I know is that in old times, sometimes just because of whatever reason, I get mixed up and I never know what way to enter it from. But as long as I know I can enter it from either side of me, it's all good.
Mhm.
No. Cool.
Okay, and then the square loop. It's always been called a square loop, but it's a rectangle. Why? Because it's 60 degrees tall and a quarter lap minimum wide.
Right on.
All right.
Judges need to know this.
Pilots need to know. The judges and pilots need to know
Both
the
need to
same
know
thing.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And finally, landing. This will come across as a change, but I'm really not sure that it's a change, only because of the way we're all wired. We have tried to define landing as beginning when the motor stops, judging the approach through when the airplane stops. Motor stops, airplane stops. It means basically judging the approach. Now, if you look at the old rule, the 1952 rule, it talks about flipping the model, flipping over, and it basically only thing it talks about is what happens after the model touched the ground. There's no indication that you judge the approach at all. Personally, I don't think it's humanly possible to turn off your eyes on the landing airplane and just start watching it when it touches the ground. All right. I think we're all wired to kind of watch the way the airplane's coming in smooth. And if it's coming in nice and smooth and stuff, that guy's going to get more points than the guy who isn't coming in nice and smooth every single time, regardless of the touchdown and everything. But so we've just tried to define it that way. Descends in a smooth flight path, gently touching down in a realistic manner. Judging begins when the engine shuts off and the model begins its descent, and ends when the model stops rolling. Okay.
I see that you know that you made a mention about belly landing so I'm assuming that plane would be hand launched, would not have a takeoff.
Okay, yeah, we did do something on takeoff, and this is kind of a bone I was picking. This actually borrows from something that actually happened at the Nationals one year. They had not prepared the field properly, and people were compelled to hand launch their airplanes. And CD Alan Brickhouse made a decision on the field that everybody was going to get the same score for takeoff, i.e. takeoff didn't count. All right. But given the field conditions, it was a prudent decision. So for takeoff, what I did here is in the case that a model cannot take off, example, due to field conditions, hand launching is permitted, but with a mandatory 3-point deduction. Thus, a maximum of 7 points is possible for a clean hand launch with a smooth gradual climb to level flight.
Sounds good.
And to personalize this, I know Joe's seen it, I've got a wee duper Zilch, 1.5-inch wheels. I can fly it anywhere there's pavement, and I can't fly it any place there isn't. It's a terrific flying airplane. I'd love to be able to fly it more often. And if I could fly it with a hand launch and take a 3-point takeoff penalty, that would be more palatable than to throw away the takeoff maneuver. So.
I like it.
And it seems like, yeah. Now, way back when, and Keith was instrumental in this, there was an attempt, not an attempt, a reality. They defined what you could do for old time era models that either did not have a landing gear or had a drop off landing gear or something like that. And they created some really good language on that, on how to design a landing gear for an airplane that didn't have it. All right. And John, I think the other side is, to your point, it's what we're saying here is that if you had an airplane without a landing gear, you could hand launch it for a deduction on you could either put a landing gear on it, or you could hand launch it and belly land it, but with a deduction on the takeoff side of it. So
good thinking.
It's a thought, and it's one of those things that people say, what the hell is that all about? Well, we'll fix that. Okay, one thing that I've never seen written down, and it came in late here. Prior to flights, official flights, the judges are to examine and discuss the model entered with the pilot. And the model shall be examined to affirm its eligibility, all that kind of stuff. This always happens, and it's never been written down that I can tell. We wrote it down.
All right.
All right. And when you do the examination, you determine which bonus points are available. Which bonus points? No flap bonus, builder of the model, engine bonuses. All right. And then we did change, we added one in here. Earlier we had, you get a 10-point bonus for an ignition engine that was designed as an ignition engine. You could not take a modern engine and convert it to ignition. You did not get the ignition bonus if you got that. Okay.
Good.
Well, we took the same attitude here. You get 5 points for a diesel engine, but the new statement, diesel engine conversions of glow engines shall not receive the bonus. So if you get a Davis diesel head for your glow engine, that doesn't qualify for the diesel bonus. All right. It's just the only intention there is to keep the same thought process as what was already there for ignition engines.
Yeah.
And just quick show of hand, how many people run diesel engines? How many have run them in old time stunt even? All right. Anybody?
I know one guy that does.
Yeah. Okay.
Jim Thomerson used to.
Mm-hmm. Well, as long as he's going to run a diesel that was designed as a diesel, give him room for the aroma and let it go at that, right? So.
Okay. I'd like to say something here.
Yes, sir.
When Dennis, you first approached me on working on this, I was very apprehensive. I think you heard that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is years ago, and as a Pampa president, I don't know, it might have been Frank McMillan, might have been Ted Fancher, asked me, Jim Thomerson, and somebody else, and I forget who the third person was, to look at the old time rules. And I think what he's asking for is to come up with something what you did. But somehow we got off, I got off the trail on that somehow. I thought, oh boy, I'll be able to write a rule here, or redo the old time rules here and describe it the old time pattern like we've become accustomed to flying it. And we met at VSC one year at a motel room, and I had all my notes and had all this stuff typed up, and I was all ready to go and show what I had done. And Jim Thomerson looked at this thing and said, "This isn't the old time rules anymore." And I said, "What?" And it wasn't. And so we discussed where we could go, and certainly couldn't use my rewrite of the rules. And it all decided that, well, we can't change the old time rules because it's not the old time rules anymore. But I think what you, Dennis, and others have done here have maintained the old time rules and really explained what it is that judges should be looking for and should be flown.
Here,
And
here.
I commend you for that.
Me too.
Yep. Me
I appreciate that.
Me
And Keith, I
four.
know you and I talked about Judge's Guide in the past and everything like that, and this is one of the little burning things here that, you know, I hadn't done anything with. And we took a couple of false starts to get here. It was like we were trying to write interpretations. We were writing 1,000 words to explain a 100-word description. I was like, what the hell is this? You know?
Mhm.
And then we just decided that writing it in a modern context and then showing it side by side with the 52 rule book, so people could see that, hey, you know, we're highlighting the critical elements, the judging points. All right, we're not trying to
Clarifying what
change
was already there.
anything. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, this document would be about half as long if we just, you know, made the 52 rule book an attachment. But I'd rather have people look at it, at least now, look at it side by side, and say, yeah, I do recognize that, you know?
Right.
So
It's interesting. Every now and then you'll run into somebody that, because like on the vertical eights or overhead eights, there's maybe 6 or 8 different ways you can fly those things.
mhm.
Every now and then you'll find somebody come to a contest and they'll throw up that vertical 8 starting someplace that you've never seen flown before. And the judge is sitting there, where I said, "What the heck was that?"
Yeah.
And well, the guy's clever, but he's not doing himself any favors for doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Can we-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Can you look at the outside loop again?
Oops, where am I? Too far down.
Didn't the
You're
old
way
way,
at the end.
didn't the old way show the outside loop? You turned over on your 90, got back down to your 6 feet and then started your loops and you finished it and tucked back over, or started from the top. Is there a drawing like that somewhere?
Well, the outside loops show that you can start it at the top or at the
Right.
bottom, but we
But-
don't show it. We don't show
Don't
that
show the-
half loop up, you know, upstream and downstream like you were
It
talking
used to be
about.
that half loop was that wanted to be a quick, sharp turn to get inverted to start that.
Yeah, it really didn't show the turn before either.
I thought I used to have that somewhere.
No, I don't think so, Joe.
No, not even in the old time
No.
Glenn
And-
or
And
where.
I don't think there's anything wrong with going inverted for up to a lap before you start the outside loops.
I do. It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah,
If you're committed to get over there and get this right there, look at your inverted laps. I thought I'd seen that very thing right there is the way you're supposed to get inverted.
it is.
And I
For
thought that,
inverted flight, for inverted flight, it is.
and I thought the outside loop, that was part of the maneuvers to get over there, get level and do your loops.
Mhm. I
Was
think
part
the
of
reason they didn't show it that way, Joe, is because they had the alternate entry. You can, you know, dive into it
Oh.
or flip over and come into it from inverted. Yeah.
Rules, Glen State or something else. So I thought,
Yeah, again, Joe, this is a reason we tried showing this side by side, because when those
Did I-
discussions come up, you say, hey, I thought it was there. Well, okay, did we miss something?
Nope,
Obviously,
didn't
if we
miss nothing.
miss something, we fix it, but,
no, didn't miss anything.
okay. All right,
Dennis,
I wanted to,
yeah,
somebody say something there?
something about that vertical 8. You know, the other ones, they kind of, or the horizontal 8, they kind of had a lazy 8 in there.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Or they plan on changing it to the round loops like AMA? Or do you still do it the lazy 8?
The old time 8 is a lazy 8.
See the start and finish point, Gordon? Starting at the bottom into an inside loop and
Yes.
then transition to an outside. And then you finally finish after, your third pass through, it finishes again in that same point.
It just looked a lot rounder than the way they show a lazy 8 there to your right.
Yeah, well, this and how many times you go to an old time contest and that question comes up, is that really an X in there? Is that a lazy? No, it's a two circles, 2 quarters touching at one point,
Says those loops are round.
Yeah, both are as round as you can make them with an instantaneous transition the other direction.
Okay, thank you.
And all of the 8s are have language that describes that. Real quick before we get on, we're going to lose Jim pretty quick if we haven't already. I'd like to get into some after the pattern. We've attached. There's at least a few different variations on the old time stunt sheet. We thought it would be good to pick one and run with it. And the one we chose here was the K factor score sheet. I've encountered this more than any of the others. I don't know if anybody else has any opinions on that. But there it is, example score sheet. We have the engine bonus. Okay. Flat bonus, builder model bonus, engine bonus, whatever you got. And etc. I tried to put it all there, tried to count it all. So it's there. So that's attachment 1. Attachment 2.
Didn't that originally come from the garden circle burners, that K factor like that?
I'm not sure the source of any of that, Keith. I just don't know. I know I've seen other score sheets that have varying totals, and they'll have a suggested score for 3 or 4 suggested scores across the top, and then some some judges use exactly what's suggested, and some judges go in between the scores. You know what I mean?
Hey, Dennis, did you, I noticed you got builder the model in here, and I don't remember that from before.
I think that was adopted. Jim, you still there? I can't see you.
Yeah, that's been in the Pampa rules for quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I haven't flown old time for a long time, so the old days you could borrow somebody's airplane and fly.
You still can. You just forfeit the 5 points.
Okay.
Where are the 5 points show up? Was that on the score sheet?
It's on the score sheet and it's described up above. All right, where did I put it? Keep going too far here.
The score sheet is exactly what we use at VSC.
Okay. And it has, and you use
BOM 0 or 5.
Okay.
Flat bonus 0 or 5. Flight pattern 0 or 25. Engine bonus 0, 5, or 10. All right.
One thing that we've done is 2 laps between maneuvers. In the old time pattern, that is a suggestion. In modern day practice and in these guidelines, that is a requirement. 2 laps minimum.
The judges appreciate you.
Right.
Well, in the rules, it had a line in there. If your ship is fast, you might want it suggested you do an extra lap. All right. And that's all that it said about it. So we thought it is a common courtesy. I think everybody does it anyway, so it seemed like an easy thing. And we're just going to make that as it is in the modern pattern. If you short me the laps to write my score down, I'm going to short you your pattern points. So
tit for tat.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Attachment 2, there's 2 pages, and this is borrowed from the John Miskey list of eligible kitted designs. Okay. And we tried to include everything that he had in there. I actually found 2 that he didn't have, and I went ahead and put them in there. I found the Stinger and Tester Sophomore. Where is it? That's actually same era.
Right to your left.
You found it. It's there.
Yeah.
Where, which one?
The sophomores.
Sophomore, yes, right there.
Yeah.
Of course, the freshman was a flat bottom airplane, so it doesn't sound like it.
So both
Okay,
both
we
box
took-
car chiefs are legal. How about that?
Yeah, okay, the list I had from Miskey, you know, there was a credit to Miskey on plans. Had a number of airplanes. Well, I went and I took Tom Morris's book on old time designs. And I looked for any, I wanted to see if there was any there that Tom Morris had identified that Miskey hadn't. I found about 10 airplanes.
I'll be
And
darned.
those were 10 airplanes that were airplanes with symmetrical airfoils. All right. I didn't, there were some others that were trainers or flat bottom or scale models or something like that that are in the Morris book, but they did not look to me like a stunt plane. And I didn't put any of the half A's or anything like that, which is something Miskey didn't do either. But there were like 10 airplanes with symmetrical airfoils that looked like they could fly an old time pattern. I put them in there. All right. Let's see. And this one here, this list, kind of making me crazy. It's because, you know, Pampa has approved a number of airplanes, but nobody ever kept a list, it seems. And then there were other airplanes that I'm not sure Pampa identified, but it can be identified from other sources, even though they were published outside the window. Let's see. I can't find anything on, well, the Adams special, it was apparently referenced in Stunt News in 2006. All right. Belfry bound, I have not been able to find any background information at all, and the only thing I know about it is the RSM kit. All right. Big job, of course. I know that Keith. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting somebody.
Yeah, sorry, Dennis, but on Belfry Bound, I think Dale Kern came in and explained or verified that that was before 1952.
Right.
Okay. Do you think the source is probably a Dale Kern plan or something like that?
It is a Dale Kern plan.
Okay. Okay. And that's probably what RSM used.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And I have a Belfry bound that Carl Shute built.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know the airplane's out there, and I've seen the RSM website has a really neat picture of the airplane with Dale posing it and everything like that. But I know, for example, on a big job, Keith told me about how he personally researched the airplane, and then it was eventually published in Flying Models in April 2007. The big wing, I think, fits, you know, that's my dad's airplane. And I went through with Pampa, Warren Teethart, president at the time, and went through the process with him, and I kept a copy of the approval record. That's Joe's favorite airplane, right?
Yeah, it's beat me.
The only one I ever beat you with. Combat Pheno, all right? Combat Pheno, Goyet design was published in 1955, but in the article, the combat version of that airplane won the 1952 Combat Championship. The combat version has non-movable flaps and a couple of panels per wing shorter span. All right. The Highboy, published in 54, but we got, well, Keith, you've even shown us the letter where Palmer clearly states it was built and flown in 1952 or sometime within the old time window. Curiously, the Humongous, I don't know where it came from. So
Ted Snow.
Ted Snow.
Ted Snow, Tucson.
Yeah, it's a Ted Snow airplane, but I don't know I presume Ted Snow plans.
Probably Earl Muller.
No.
No?
I don't think plans were ever published.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a fella that did the plans. Well, there's kits out there now, but there's two or three sets of plans, but the only real difference in them, I have two of the three, and the only difference I can find in the three plans is the shape of the top of the rudder.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Rest
and
of the
I
planes
did find some.
There's also an inverted engine version.
Okay.
I have those from Ted himself.
I think the RSM site states that it was a 1949 design, so that's what I had.
Yeah.
I have a plan for the Saftig inverting stunter. All right, which of course became the Super Zilch.
Yeah.
And Again, I have a copy of, the plan says it's a SAFTIC plan, and I guessed 1948. I don't remember exactly why I guessed that, but it's, but I have to admit it's a guess. The Jameson, same answer on that. I don't really, I think RSM site said it happened in 1947.
The source is Charles Mackey's book, History of Control Line.
Okay.
Or Control Line Stunt, whatever it is. Anyway, it's Mackey's book.
And Mackey's book it really just had a little 3-view in it, didn't it?
But
It wasn't a set of plans per se.
It was a 3-view, but it was taken from an actual model.
Yeah, okay.
That they found in an attic.
Yeah, and okay. Madman 56 is a Don Hutchinson plan, right? And again, I tried researching some of the notes on Stunthangar, and the best swag there, it was 1947.
I'll talk to you about that offline, Dennis.
Keith, this page is the one that needs to work. All right.
Yeah.
And we talked about this before, and you said we need to go back, check through all the backlog of stunt news and see if we can find first mention of these and things like that. The Moidal, there was a little 3-view in a magazine in 1944, although I guess the plan wasn't published until much later, like 2000 or something. Francis Reynolds airplane. Sassy Saucer, my personal favorite here, was published in 53, but they in the article, they say they did an air show at the 1952 Nationals. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Wagner had the Squad 2 prototype and his Super Chief plans, both dated for 1951.
Cool.
Venus, Warren Tehart, I had a discussion with him on this, and he told me how he digitized the original airplane, Jim Everger's airplane. And I asked him about the RSM kit. He got some. He says, there's a kit of this airplane, So I take a leap of faith that Eric Rule probably got a copy of the Tehart plan and went ahead and made a model off it, or made a kit off of it. So
yes.
I don't know what year that was either. I think it was actually, and I think Warren said it was a Plymouth Internets winner or something like that, not a Nationals airplane, which makes sense because it was the Evergers and Detroit area and everything like that. Don Still Victory wasn't shown anywhere that I could find. It was apparently published here. The Wildman 60 was a Floyd Carter airplane, model aviation, or yeah. Is that right? 03, the Zilch X, published in 50, or the publication date was 53, but the proof was that it was actually flying in 52. That's one of those airplanes that always comes up. And of course I was missing some of this information, wingspans and stuff. Anyhow. Okay, and if you got an old airplane sitting up in the attic, if you want to get it approved, here's an idea of what you have to go through. All right, basically name the airplane, designer, how big it was, year design. Can you document that? Proof of, do you have drawings? Can you document those, et cetera, et cetera? If you do that to an acceptable standard, you have a good chance that Pampa will approve your design. And finally, well, almost finally, the stunt rule change proposal. You see what we're taking a shot at here? You don't like what we're doing? Terrific. Write it down. Write down your idea, what we should have been doing. All right. And we frankly tried to copy the basic criteria of the AMA change process. You got a proposal. What do you want to change?
Dennis, who do those changes go to? Suggested changes.
Well, this is intended to be the Pampa rule, so all things have to be approved by the Pampa Executive Council.
Okay.
Okay. And that's the intent. Now, if you decide, you or whoever running the executive council says, I need some consultation with some old time stunt, some of the pointy hats, and the long beards who fly old time stunt. You get your advice from whatever you get it, but you say, hey, does this make sense or not? But anyhow, since this is a Pampa document, Mark, it's got to be at some point. It has to be approved by
Oh, I
Pampa,
understand.
right? Yeah, that's that,
understand.
and we try to keep the same loop. I'll go back to the top of the document. We actually called that out right there. Okay, what regulation is affecting? What kind of, exactly what do you want to change? Write the words, rationale. And rationale includes, what are you trying to address? Why are you proposing? How is this issue dealt with under current conditions? All right. And that's important because are we changing things for the sake of change, or are we changing because, oh my God, we keep getting hung up on the same issue? All right. That's different. So, let's go all the way back up to the top here. Okay, one thing, basic philosophy statement is important. Why, and we're hoping that Old Time Stunt offers a chance to kind of recreate what, the designs of the earlier era, the simpler era. The Old Time Stunt may attract, or hopefully we're going to attract new flyers to the ECL aerobatics events and competition. Above all, the event should be fun. For this reason, suggest that the contest administrator should err to the side which fosters increased participation. Okay. And, we've had some sideline discussions. One thing that doesn't happen is, gee, I don't have an Old Time Stunt airplane. You know what? Come fly whatever airplane you got. We'll judge what you did. You just won't be eligible for awards. All right. And we actually say that later on, but item 2 is applicability. And we're trying to say all current AMA rules for safety and everything like that. Of course, they all apply. And of course, that just makes sense. All right. The approval rules become approved. The rules become official when approved by the Pampa Executive Council. All right. Accessibility. We want to post these rules on the Pampa website and where possible other internet sites pertinent to Old Time Stunt participants. So that means that we'd like to, of course, on the Pampa website, we publish or post it, but I'd like to post it, say, in a sticky note in the top of Stunthangar. I think I'd like to send a copy, some of the big regional websites like the Flying Lines, the Pacific Northwest, they got a good thing. We might be able to put it in Facebook somehow. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I'm not a member, but basically we want the rules to be accessible because the rules include the models and everything like that. And I did skip over something. There's a list that David Day of England used to keep, a 22-page long list of eligible designs from around the world. A lot of those designs don't look like they're stunt planes. 20-inch trainers and stuff like that he has listed. And it's good he has, and I don't know enough about him to say, hey, we really don't need to list this. It's on his list, but that list is too big to put into a document like this, but it should be posted on the website and it should be accessible, to people who want to fly some English and Australian design or something like that. So the accessibility part is we want these rules to be posted in some central places so that people can routinely see that. All right. The rules change procedure. Proposals change the rules will become official if when approved by the Pampa Executive Council. And procedure for changing, amending, or adding rules similar to those procedures used by AMA rules change procedures is the form shown as attachment 5. Okay, and that was that other form I was jumping around. All right. So my 5-minute discussion has now gone about 55 minutes, and I apologize exactly what I didn't want to do, but
I think
you've done a good job, Dennis.
Yeah, I think you did a good job too. You did a service to the community, so appreciate it.
You guys did a good job.
I hope so.
Excellent job.
Hey, Dennis, I don't want to take the time, but does your list have the Screwball Fury, either the Circle Burners list or on your list of model airplane news?
I'm sorry, Keith, say again, please.
Does your list contain the Screwball Fury?
I think it does.
Okay, it'd either be in the MISKI listing or maybe
it should be in the MISKI plans listing, right?
Or at least the model airplane news, yeah.
Fury Screwball,
Okay, you got
1248.
it. You got it.
All right, so we all know what Keith is building after the big job.
Thinking
Mhm.
about it.
You gonna build it with the offset bell crank and everything like that?
I'm not worried about the bell crank. The plans are interesting because it's a semi-symmetrical airfoil, NACA,
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Yeah, it's
Non-symmetrical.
a non-symmetrical, but I know the bell crank on it has a longer arm on one side than the other to help it,
No, not
to
gonna
help
do
it,
that,
to help
but the
it have
article,
faster control. So,
the article says, go ahead and put a symmetrical airfoil on it if you want to.
yeah,
So, there you go.
okay. Okay, I hadn't read that, hadn't read that part. I know that, see, Bob Zambelli built one. It's a pretty airplane. He put a symmetrical wing on his, so
Hey, Dennis,
that's why. Yeah,
that humongous, I heard somebody say something about building it with an inverted engine. Is that legal or not?
well, funny you should ask. It was, what started me on this whole thing is, I wanted to make it legal to build a Williamson Ringmaster with an inverted, with the engine reoriented, and
Right.
we did something.
I have plans that Ted Snow himself signed at VSC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Airplanes with open engine compartments can be built with the engine compartment blended into a spinner. That one comes up every now and then. Engine mounting that reorients the engine cylinder position, cylinder up, horizontal cylinder down, is allowed so long as the original location of the thrust line is maintained.
Perfect.
It does that.
Okay.
Attendant recontouring of the front fuselage should remain consistent with the original design.
Cool. Hey, Dennis,
Yeah,
I think in terms of selling this, I think it really needs to be, as you said in the beginning, and as Keith said, to let people know this is not a whitewash of the rule changes. Okay, this is really a clarity of the original rules with, I guess you could say, with a few changes. You know what I'm saying?
there are
Just
a few
clarification
changes
of the
that are
original
made that
rules.
reflect the way the event is actually flown. Things like
Okay, there
no
you go.
hand signal and stuff like that.
He's
Consistent.
giving us big words and terms.
Yeah. But again, and at some point in time, I really think we may be able to drop the 2-column maneuver descriptions and just go with one. But
Yeah, but it's probably
for
better
right
for the
now,
first
I
year.
want everybody to see that we really tried hard not to change anything.
I think you did very well.
I think you did too, Dennis. You did a heck of a job. Y'all did a heck of a good job.
All of
Appreciate
them
that.
All of you. I don't know who all's involved.
either, but they did well.
They
Mm.
really did.
Good committee group.
Okay, got one more thing I want to show. I guess I got to stop this share and do another share. Mark's still on board? All right. You know, we talk about landing, John, your favorite subject, landing gear position. A lot of the old time airplanes have landing gears that are less than good, shall we say. And when
Yeah.
Mark did his first landing diagram, this is what he showed. This is what he gave us. It comes
Hey,
down,
that
it
looks
touches
like
down,
something-
it bounces, then it bounces bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally the airplane comes to a stop. All right.
That's ringmaster round, man.
Yeah. So we
Mark,
thought,
I told you to forget my first landing.
Yeah. And Mark, and we said, Mark, that may be accurate, but that's probably not what we want to show as an ideal landing. So,
No.
so he grudgingly agreed to show a nice, boring, smooth touchdown and rollout. So
I love it.
Yeah, but he made this drawing. This drawing is I'm going to save this in places so I know I always have it. You know, even when the computer crashes, I'll be able to access it somewhere. But,
That's
That does make a question from me, Denny. And that is, so you have a design that doesn't show landing gear. Now, the rules have said that you can put landing gear on.
Yes.
But with none shown there, would you don't want to cheat and put it right at the absolute perfect position to make a beautiful landing and all that.
Right.
Unless perhaps the designer on other designs that he's designed has a landing gear in a much better position than you would normally see.
Yeah. Okay. And the way when Keith and you, Keith, I think you said Mike Cavell worked with you on that.
Yes.
And you defined you basically said that the wheels had to be in front of the wing by 100%, of the wheel. In other words, it's representative of landing gear that were typical of the
Of the
era
time.
and not
That's right.
of something that was designed in 1990 or something like that. So,
Right.
Yeah. So, well, I'm looking at a design that doesn't have gear on it, but the author, the fellow that designed it, the designer, has designed a smaller version of it in the same time frame that he did put gear on. And so I'm thinking I should be able to consider using the same gear position that he did on the same smaller design.
There's no reason
Talking
why.
about a stunt wagon.
here we go.
Yeah.
Model designs with no takeoff landing gear. If the original model did not have a takeoff landing gear, the design of the added landing gear must be consistent with prevailing landing gear used on similarly configured models of the era. All right. And
So if that smaller design was designed in the same era, that would be consistently.
well, be careful where you go with that, John. I mean, you can find a design from the era with a landing gear almost anywhere, I'm sure.
Well, I know, but I'm talking about the same designer, the same airplane, one's just a smaller version.
Okay.
One has, the bigger one does not have gear, the smaller one does.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the rule that was there, and we copied this directly from the existing Pampa rule, and this is the one that Keith and Mike worked out, and they said that appropriately sized wheels separated by appropriate distances with their axles, one wheel diameter in front of the wing leading edge. Now, here we go, John. If you think that what you're saying has a certain credibility to it, I acknowledge that. However, it doesn't fit this definition. So you might be rule change number 1. All right.
Don't do it, John. Don't do it, John.
Yeah, that's it. I'm actually kind of curious, we're defining this and we're opening the door for rule changes and stuff like that. I'm just kind of curious. Are people going to look at this and say, oh, I want to change everything? Or they're going to say, cripe, I don't want.
No, I like the work you've done, Denny. I'm just curious, because I am considering building this airplane for old time stuff. But if the smaller version of the same airplane has a gear that doesn't match what you've got there.
Mm-hmm.
No.
What's a 50 Nobler? The Don still the 52 Nobler's got a gear underneath the leading edge. And Don Still Stuka's got the gear on the leading edge. Let's still get too caught in this.
Well, if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, the Stunt Wagon 30 shows the gear right under the leading edge. Stunt Wagon 60, it shows no landing gear because they took off of a speed pan that fell away.
Speed dolly.
But if you go to a contest with a landing gear on the 60 in the position it is on the 30, some places will tell you that's not right. You're not supposed to fly it, but there is no definition. So I wrote, oh Lord, I'm having a night. I can't even remember his name, while he was still alive, and asked him about the Stunt Wagon 60.
D'Amico?
Yeah.
DeBolt?
I forgot. Hal DeBolt. He lived in Florida. And I wrote Hal, and he sent me back a very nice letter. And he says the Stunt Wagon 60, the All-American Senior, and there was another model, and I didn't recognize. But anyway, he said we had those things with landing gear everywhere from dang near under the spinner to back behind the leading edge. He said some people put them back behind the leading edge. And he said everywhere in between, there's no real difference. You're going to get used to how it lands. But he said the Stunt Wagon 60 can be, I was asking about the 60 in particular because that's what I was building. But he says, if you put this, as long as I could go get the letter and read it, but he says, as long as the center of the hub is in front of the leading edge, is under or in front of the leading edge, when viewed from directly above, it should be considered legal. So that's what I started taking to contests and showed the CDs, and I was always able to fly it. Now, Tom Looper flew a stunt wagon at Nats and won Nats with a carbon fiber gear that actually mounted way behind the leading edge, but the wheels were right where they are on mine. And that was judged as being legal and fair. And Tommy just outflew the rest of us, plain and simple. But anyway, I don't know how we would make that.
I think that, and you may adjust, I'm going to take that very last thing you said. I don't know how we do it. There's always going to be, I'm going to try to write this stuff down, and almost every rule you write, somebody going to find a way to, an exception to it and everything like that. And we have to take them take them one case at a time.
That's what I'm saying.
If the thing comes up often enough, then there maybe needs to be some kind of documentation provided that's generally available to everybody. Or if you got a better way of writing the rule description or something like that, I say go for it. I thought the Stunt Wagon 60 and 30 both had drop-off gears.
No, the 30 was the 30
drop-off gear on the plan. But but there's quite a few airplanes. I think the Stunt Rocket, I think, had a drop-off gear, didn't it?
Hey, Dennis,
Stunt Rocket has a drop-off gear, but it does show a place to mount the gear. It does have a mounted gear position. I'm building one.
Yeah, and I'm happy as heck we don't have drop-off gears anymore. But,
oh God, me too.
But I think that that might come into play too. And if the drop-off gear, there is another place in the rules where we talk about the landing gear location, exit location can't be changed and all that. We're not changing any of that. So I don't know. I think if I was the CD and you showed me a letter from Harold DeBolt, my choices would be, well, either believe the letter or say, well, no, that's no good. Harold DeBolt was a liar. We're not.
The very first sentence on the whole paper.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. That's it. We're supposed to have fun. And then let's see, where did we put that?
Very first sentence.
Right up to the first paragraph.
Right up in the first paragraph. Let's have fun.
That's right.
Let's see.
Very opening thing.
Way up on the top.
My hope is that we're going to have people that are flying beginner and intermediate, and they're going to have an airplane that maybe isn't much different than a ringmaster saying, well, gee, I don't have a ringmaster, but and I'd say, well, gee, will you bring your new Sky Ray over here and you can fly this, and we just won't let you have a trophy, but you can fly the old time pattern and see if you like it. If you like it, maybe next month you'll show up with a ringmaster or something,
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah.
Just a couple of practical questions. Is it our hope that this is out and approved so that the Brodak event and the Nats are operating under this?
God, I'd love to see that.
Brodak event would do something like say we are using Pampa rules, and if Pampa rules happens to be this document, that's what you'd use. If this document wasn't approved, then I suppose the CD could say something like, we're going to use this as our judge's guide. All right, and they could do that on basically every judges meeting and pilots meeting has some kind of a script. This could be the script for that.
Okay.
And just to put a bone under your saddle here and all that, and forgive me, but for this, I was hoping we could get this approved in time that our friends down in Tucson could use it next month. All right, about a month from now.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting. I don't sit on things too long, other than the toilet, maybe. I'd like to get this thing moving.
Mhm.
You know, it's when you have this many airplanes, it can be an endless procession of modifications to 150 different airplanes, and it could never end. So I'm just wondering if somewhere in the beginning, there should be something to say the contest director has the final decision on something maybe that is questionable.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
That sounds good.
I
That's
got
a
a
good
thought.
idea.
How about the contest director may disqualify a model that does not, in his opinion, comply with the intent of these guidelines?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
He's good.
Yeah.
You are very good with words, Dennis.
What
Go ahead,
about-
Joe.
I wish
like
I
it
could take
presented a
credit for
little-
that, but that's been in the Pampa rules, I think, all along.
It has.
Yeah, everything,
Okay.
and what we're trying to do actually, in some cases here, what we're trying to do is make the contest director's decision easier by giving him the guidelines that he can
Well,
use. to
that'd be
say,
nice.
This is good and that's not good, you know?
Are we
So-
gonna allow trim vortices, trip tips, tail feather adjustments and all that on old time airplanes? Are we gonna fly them like they were designed?
Something like they were designed.
Seeing chiggers on wings and deals on tails of old time airplanes. And in my
No,
opinion,
God, I hope not.
that's a crime. And it's happening.
Wow. That's
It's
amazing.
If you can't fly master with the leading edge sheeted, why would you be able to put vortex generators all over the silly thing?
Okay, what we have, Joe, we have trimming features. This used to be shown in several bullet point or, items. We just combined them all. Modern trimming features are permitted. Adjustable lead outs, tip weight, trim tabs, revised control ratios, sealed hinge lines are examples.
But
All right, and then we tried to do all that. Then we went no modifications. Any mod that, in the opinion of the judges or contest director, significantly changed the appearance and or performance of the aircraft as originally designed shall be grounds for disqualification.
There you go.
There you go. That'll work.
And if you have
That'll
a
work.
extremely liberal CD, he might say, oh, vortex generators, doodads, trip strips, everything. Oh, yeah, that all looks old time,
No.
And if somebody else is going to say, you want to do what? Sorry, Howard, we're going to cut down on your income from VGs. I'm sorry. I'm afraid to.
Well, look at that one sentence. Look at that one sentence. This includes, but is not limited to, change of airfoil. Now, when you put all these different things on your airfoil, that's a change.
Guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I can document vortex generators being used in 1950 on airplanes, but I abhor the idea of vortex generators or such doodads violating the monocoque covered electric powered old time airplane.
Hey, Howard, like I said, I flew that airplane and I monocoated, laser cut monocoated and electric on Spectra lines.
Oh no!
And I party like it's 1950. All right. So
Partied like it's 1951. I love it.
Hey, you guys, I'm going to end the live stream. We can continue on in the after party. Thank you very much for.
I'm so sorry to go.
You guys are too
That's
many.
okay. That's all right. So, anyways, thank you everybody for coming in. We're still going to continue. Just going to end the live stream portion. So, tune in again Friday. Hopefully, you have a chance to work in your shop or go flying and come back and tell us all about it. Until then.